Ding ding. Hello, welcome to the Seven Seasons Hotel.
Hi there. I've got a reservation.
A reservation? Under what name?
It's classic movie Banter.
What? So, Brenton, very important topic in my opinion. Considering how cold it is here in Australia, top seasons, go. What are your favourite seasons right now? What's your favourite season?
Spring.
Spring?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. How come spring?
Because it's coming out of winter. It's still a bit brisk.
Is this just like winter Brenton talking? You're just
Dude,
like, just get me out right now.
No, I actually kind of like spring because it's still a bit chilly. Like, it's not summer yet. I hate summer. Summer's my least favourite.
Ooh, very controversial.
Really? Yeah,
Autumn,
my
I think,
least
is
favourite.
my favourite. How come summer? What's wrong with summer? Just too hot?
I'm too white for summer.
Do you get really bad sunburn?
I sparkle in the sun. It's not good. People know I'm a vampire.
But
Don't tell my secret. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So I'd say here we go. Mm-hmm. It goes spring first because it's still, it's nice. It's not raining so much.
Yeah.
It's like the sun's out, but it's still brisk. It's that nice.
Yeah.
Second is winter.
Winter?
Winter is number 2. Third is autumn.
Autumn? Really?
Summer.
So autumn's your second favourite after spring?
No. The second favourite after spring is winter.
Yep. I should be writing this down. Yeah. So
and
go
then,
spring,
and then
winter.
Third place is autumn.
Mm-hmm.
And summer can go jump off a cliff.
Wow.
Yep.
Is this like your global warming vendetta as well? You're just like, it's too hot.
I don't have a global warming vendetta.
I know. Apart from those posters in your bedroom, and your shirt right now says global warming vendetta. But apart from that, yeah. You know what I've noticed? I reckon, on that topic, I reckon the seasons are getting worse. Like the winters are colder, and the summers are getting hotter. Are you noticing? Is this just me?
I think that is just you. I thought this past winter was the warmest winter we've had in a while here in Sydney. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember last winter I spent in Brisbane. It was quite cold.
Quite
one of the coldest I've been through.
Yeah. Okay. How has your winter experience in Sydney?
Oh my God.
Been
Thank
compared
you for bringing that up.
to Brisbane?
I remember when I first moved from Brisbane to Sydney, everyone's like, oh, because I moved in October last year. So it was it was in spring.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes, fuck yeah. I got to miss the Sydney winter. Fuck yeah. And then I remember people saying to me oh, wait till you have a Sydney winter. It's brutal. And then I bumped into Melbourne people and they're like, dude, Sydney winter, plus that's basically Jamaica. Wait to experience a Melbourne winter.
And then an Eskimo in Antarctica was like, you think you've got it bad?
Yeah, I think you got it good. Yeah, it's true though. It's all perspective, and that's what I learned because I even as a Gold Coast boy, I found Brisbane winters quite unbearable because I know what it is because you're more north.
Dude, so I went back to the Gold Coast during winter.
Yeah.
This winter. And like I said, this Sydney winter wasn't that bad. In comparison to
I was very surprised because I did not find it as brutal as people.
No, exactly. Yeah. It's been getting warmer and warmer. I went back to the Gold Coast where it was practically a Sydney summer. And everyone was bitching to me how cold it was. It was like one of my friends had 4 layers on.
Wow.
And when the sun was out...
Can you name the first name? Do I know it?
You don't, unfortunately.
Okay.
Yeah.
Name and shame.
So he had 4 layers on.
Mm-hmm.
He had a singlet or something, then a shirt, then a sweater, then a leather jacket.
Then a giant donut costume, and then he was wrapped in some
foil. And then
foil,
he was spinning. He was one of those sign spinners. He was spinning his sign. Yeah, no.
He was in the middle of a Turkish restaurant. Just
fuck, it's cold. No.
But the other way around, I have people who I'm saying it's boiling in summer, it's proper hot, covered in sweat, and they're like, oh yeah, nah, it's fine, just take off a shirt. Have you got mates like that who are just
yeah? As I grow older, though, I feel like when it comes to the seasons and it being hot or cold, I'm fine. I won't complain.
Really?
Even although I said summer can go jump off.
Definitely complain about the weather.
No, screw that. There's worse things to complain about. If it's hot,
it was the summer. There's someone dying in Africa. I can't complain about the weather. It's
Nathan, there is someone.
Oh no! Quick! I gotta run.
No, it's kind of that thing of there's worse things to bitch about. So if it's hot, just it's hot. It sucks, but it's hot, man. If it's cold, it's like, brr, it's cold. Better put on a fucking jumper.
I know it does sound very cliche when people do say that.
If it's what, sorry?
Cliche. Why are you laughing at that?
What a story, Mark.
Fuck you. but it's true though. I'm very bad when it comes to here's the funny thing, in winter though, I say I get cold. I've definitely walked around the snow before in just normal just a long shirt and just normal pants, and I've been fine.
Yeah. I've never seen the snow, so
it's very funny. You haven't? That's right.
I've never seen the snow.
You've never seen the snow. It's
it's
like tiny September Christmas.
I've never seen the snow. Please, someone take me, please.
Not back in the cage, son.
Okay.
but no, because I'm weird because when it gets a cold wind here in Sydney, today, for example, it's horrendous.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that we're now finally in spring, thank God, we're now in September. Even today, I had a really bad breeze come on through, and I was just bitching about it for half the day. I'm just that's what a bad breeze does to me, Brenton.
Oh man, hey, I tell you what was speaking of bad breezes, that was probably the worst.
Stop farting, but go on. I had to make that joke. I know, 1 out of 10. Tune out now, listeners.
You just peaked.
Yeah.
Speaking of bad winters, this winter has been particularly windy though. So where I work, there's this wind tunnel that
just a giant wind
tunnel.
Yeah,
dude, it's a giant wind tunnel. It's practically it's one of those, those huge factory fans that's kind of it's one of those in a hallway.
You're not joking.
Yeah, it's bad. Anyway, so it's in this little courtyard, as I've spoken about before in one of our episodes where the rant was about it was about the leaf blower or whatever.
Yeah.
It's in that same courtyard. There's this huge wind tunnel. And
not good news to the leaves as well.
So the door into the shop is because of the wind tunnel, if you leave the door open, it creates this draft.
Okay.
It just smashes in and basically practically takes out all the customers and
it's like tumbleweed, they're just rolling about.
They got sucked out. So we have to keep the door basically ajar. But because the door is ajar, the draft then reroutes and it hits me.
Oh no.
And that's fine. Like I said,
then now you're tumbleweed.
There's worse. Like I said, there's worse things in the world to complain about. But I'm going to complain about this. What a hypocrite, you asshole, Brenton. But it wasn't so much the draft. It was that sucks. But it was drying my hands out. And I've never had this issue. My hands are quite moist.
Thank you for sharing that on the podcast. We've really dissented this episode. I had such a good feeling about this episode, listeners. And now, 8 minutes in, I hear Brenton say the sentence, "My hands are moist." Oh, I'm very.
Dude, I'm loving this. This is great.
This is the worst episode we've done.
Probably, but it's we're failing with style.
Oh, my hands are
and moist hands. No, but the issue was that my moist hands were turning dry. And it was when I've never my hands have never cracked. When you have dry skin. Do you know? I don't know. Do you?
Yes, I do know.
Okay, so so that happened because of this fucking draft through the door that was ajar. And so it sucked. End of story.
It's classic movie banter. Hey,
what a start to episode 15. Welcome to classic movie banter.
I can't even make my little numero thing because I don't know any Italian numbers after 2. So
you need to learn, boy.
I need to learn. I can say the French one where
go.
Cans. That's 15. That's French for 15. That's the end of my story.
I was getting really excited. I thought you were just gonna bust out some sick French and
L'épisode est 15. That's my French for you.
That's a bit better. Yeah.
How are you going? What's been happening with you,
dude? Well, my hands are now moist again.
Can you stop talking about? I swear to God, I'm gonna edit this out. I'm just every moisty drop I'll cut out.
Our listeners will never know what transpired.
I never know about your moist hands. I'm gonna change our logo to just your moist hand.
No. One hand's moist and the other one's got a crack in it. Yeah. Ew. No, that's not a good logo.
Oh my God! Stop talking about it. My week's been good. I've had it.
Yeah, but genuinely, it's been good, has it? Been up to anything exciting?
No, actually. I say that, and then I have nothing to report.
It's just been like you've been.
Went out to the Sheaf on Wednesday. That was fun.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was a quality night.
You've been chugging along. Like
I got kicked out. I got kicked out of a place for the very first time.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
like what type of place?
Every time I drink, I'm a very well respected boy.
What did you do?
That's the thing. I don't know. I was too cooked. Like I was too drunk. I really don't know.
Wow. So you just
I was with a couple of mates. We were just it's the by the way, it's the Sheaf. If you know anything about Sydney, the Sheaf is like it's not the Ritz. I'll give you that.
Did you know? But did anyone else know what happened?
No. I was telling my mates after. Like we were all too drunk. So like, I think the bouncer just came up to us and said, "You guys, you just look too gone. Can you just please?"
Oh right, okay.
Just escort us out. He was very kind about it. Like he didn't even touch us. He just asked us to leave, and we just
please,
walked
sir, would you mind leaving? You're a bit shit faced.
That's me. So yeah, but apart from that, really fun week.
Yeah, cool. My week, I've been just chugging along, just trooping through life. You know.
Yeah. Just going through life.
Dude.
Earning $1 at a time. We're just earning those books.
$1 a day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so I'm keen for this week's episode. And you know why, Brenton?
Well, because we're changing it up.
We're changing it up. We're flipping the genre on its head. We're turning the tables. Adele would be proud. We're doing what Apple is asking, thinking different. Boy, we've thought different.
We've thought differently. Can you explain the premise of this episode? Because I imagine our listeners are quite confused. One by like the intro to this show, but also the title.
Yeah, because obviously look on your refresh feed, whether you watch us on iTunes or YouTube or whatever, you'll see that we're not doing classic name of movie banter. No, we're doing.
What are we doing?
Something called the season. We're doing something called. We are doing something called. The 7 seasons. Nathan, what's that? I'm so glad you asked, Brenton. the 7 seasons. So it's a new season. We're now in September, Brenton. You know the world has turned, and Australia now is in spring. If you're in the northern hemisphere, eat shit. You're now in autumn.
But you said autumn was your favourite, Nathan. What is this?
Oh my god, we just went through this.
Wait, did you rank yours?
Oh, did I?
Yeah, from 1 to 4 seasons.
Spring number 1. Winter number 2, summer number 3, autumn number 4.
That's you.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're the same as me. You like winter. You like spring and winter as well.
I do.
That's awesome, dude.
I do. I love it. Yeah.
We're the strange ones. Yeah.
Oh, we should be friends.
Yay!
I'll make the braids. But So this episode, because it's the start of a new season, we thought rather than just review movies every week uninterruptedly, we thought at the start of a new season. We should do something special.
Do something fun.
Yeah.
Shake it up.
Because the rest of our episodes certainly aren't fun, so now's the time to start. So we thought we'd do what every generic movie critic does and just write a list. Write a list. Top 7. Top 7. Top 7. These... So what we're going to do... So each season, we'll do a top 7 of something.
Something, yeah.
And this episode, we thought we'd start off this tradition once every season with our top 7 movie experiences. So these...
I'd say top 7 favourite films. Yeah.
But are these... actually...
Yeah. Because the experience... We will get into the experience. Because favourite, I think, is the key word. They're not the best films.
Yeah. So we're not saying... Yeah, we should clarify. So this list is not, in our opinion, the 7 best movies ever made. That is not what this list is.
No.
This top 7 that Brenton and I have put together, which is great because we don't have to watch a movie this week, so we can breathe and not go back. Oh, yeah, so there's a couple of things. So number 1, I'll make a list about these lists. So number 1... we have chosen films that have meant the most to us. So we've had a journey with these films, and they have influenced us because of our experience with the movies that we've chosen. Mm-hmm. Thing number 2, because these are once a season episodes, we are suspending our movies older than 20 years rule.
Yes.
Suspension, Brenton.
It's gone.
You're suspended, damn it.
But only for a little while.
Get out of my room.
Okay.
But so we're going to talk about any film from any year. It could be as recent as yesterday, Brenton.
As yesterday?
Yesterday.
Oh, yay!
Yeah. But and then are there any other rules?
Oh, apart from that, we've said these are our individual lists, so we can. I'm not going to reveal what I've done, but you can rank it. You can put it in any order you see fit. You also have, we've decided upon that we have,
in addition to our top 7,
we have 3 honourable mentions.
Yeah, but it's not a top 10. If you get any comments saying it's top 10, it's not top 10.
If you will be blocked. Yeah. All right.
Wow. I wasn't going to.
It is not a top 10. It's a top 7 with 3 honourable mentions, and that just happens to make the number 10. Just don't.
You really passed primary math. I love it, Brenton. Yay.
Oh yeah.
But yeah. So and then after we finish our lists, each of us is gonna choose one of these films that we think the other.
Yeah, so I'm after this. So Nathan, I will say my list. Nathan will say his list, and then I will surmise Nathan's list at the end. Remind you all of what his favorite films are, and then I will pick one from my opinion is the film that is the one to watch. Out of your 7,
and I'll do vice
and you'll
versa.
do the same to me. Yeah. So it's gonna be fun.
Hopefully, audiences, you'll have 2 great films or 2 great experiences that you'll have. Yeah.
Exactly, and you'll know a bit more about us and our kind of our
lives, our
love,
history of movies,
our love of film, and kind of maybe where that originates from, and
because when you talk to people about movies, like most people, when people talk about movies that they love, half the time it's not because the movie's great; it's because of a memory that they have attached to a movie,
correct,
right?
Yeah.
So I think that's the truth for you and me. So when we talk about our favorite films, like it's not because they're great; it's just because.
Yeah,
it's
you're passionate about it, and it's you're revealing something personal about yourself.
So we're going to open up, Brenton. We're really going to lay down the couch and click open the clipboard, and
I'm putting the key into the padlock, and I'm turning it, and it's opening, and my heart is spilling out to all you lovely listeners at home. Yeah, so I am super excited about this episode.
Me too.
Like. Something new. We don't know if this format's going to work. You let us know what you think.
Yeah.
But
and they're like, and never do it again.
Please like it.
Yeah. All right. So do you want to start, buddy?
Dude, this is it. So this is Brenton's top 7 favorite films of all time. First of all, I'll do my 3 honourable mentions. The way I have ordered this list is that it is in alphabetical order.
Okay.
So the honourable mentions are also in alphabetical order, which is quite funny because the first film I'm going to talk about in my honourable mentions is The Grinch, released in 2004.
Yes, I love it.
Starring Jim Carrey, directed by Ron Howard. Now, the reason I included this one is that this is my Christmas movie. This, like, everyone's like, oh, it's a, what's that movie? It's a Wonderful Life. You know, The Polar Express maybe. Die Hard's a Christmas movie. You know,
Damn
like everyone's got their Christmas movie. The Grinch is mine. I watch this every year. I think
I've seen The Grinch maybe twice in its entirety.
Wow.
Yeah. Do you genuinely, do you actually watch it every Christmas?
I watch it every Christmas.
Wow. As in you and your fam, or just you?
Me and my 3 sisters.
Nice.
We sit down and we watch this film. It's not the best film, but it's got some character and it's got some heart. And I love it. I love Jim Carrey's performance.
Yeah.
Jim Carrey, man. Let's talk about him.
He was a life force when he made this. It was like mid-90s. What year did it come out?
This was released in 2000. Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
Wow. Okay. No.
Yeah, dude. Like,
2000 Jim Carrey at the height of his powers.
He is such a good actor, dude. Like,
and still is. Like, he is.
Yeah. He is such a great actor.
I'm waiting for him to make a real big comeback, like film.
Truman Show.
The Mask.
Yeah, God, The Mask.
Yeah.
Dumb and Dumber. Liar, Liar. Oh my God. Just
Batman Forever.
Yes. Bruce Almighty.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great filmography.
Yeah. I just love this film. I think it's got so much heart. It's so much fun. There's a shitty little kid actor in it that sings a terrible song. It's got everything. It's got everything you want.
I just remember it mostly from the meme of him changing his outfit before he goes out.
Dude, shall I do a Brenton reenactment?
Yes, please.
Here we go. Okay, so, but what would I wear? So we hear someone yodeling. Grinch steals his outfit. He goes and puts on this, what is it? It's overalls. It's like these overalls with shorts, and he comes in. ooh, ah, that's it. I'm not going.
That was really good.
That's it. Or like, yeah, and even that dude. This film is just awesome. Like the character of the
memes.
Grinch is just exactly. It's so good. Like it's so quotable. It's so much fun. Dude, the sets in this, like the production design, crazy. Like
It's
it was all real. Like the parts with the visual
also like his
effects
costume
are pretty terrible. Oh yeah, like the prosthetics and the makeup and
it takes me like 6 hours for him to like go through it. Like,
I'd say so. God, yeah.
Jim Carrey's got there's a great clip from the Graham Norton show where Jim Carrey's on it. Have you seen that show?
Graham Norton,
yeah,
dude, he's great show. Yeah,
great talk show.
Yeah.
Jim Carrey was on it for one episode and he talked about the Grinch and he was saying how like he had to have torture training by like the CIA or something like that to get through being like attached yak hair onto him for like 6 hours. And they said like one of the things he could do was to like smoke these long cigars while as he was getting it done, just to distract from the pain of being like suffocating under the suit. So there's all these like set photos of him like as the Grinch just smoking these really big Cuban cigars.
This is like prosthetic makeup in 2000 as well, or 19 whatever when this was actually in production. So it's not the same as today, I imagine. And I think the worst part about like these, you know, let's say like Guardians of the Galaxy is a more recent example where you see like hours upon hours that you're in like the makeup chair getting this things put on your body. I think the worst part is the fact that, you know, other actors go home, you know, straight with the, you know, they get their makeup taken off and they go home and you're still there for like another 2 hours or whatever, having each piece like removed from your body. Oh, what a work day. It's like the majority of it you're in the chair having people touch your body and applying things. Being
paid millions of dollars to do it. Gosh.
Oh, what a life.
It's a great
it's a great film. Number 2 on my honourable mentions is The Perks of Being a Wallflower, released in 2012.
I'm very surprised at that. Why is this on your honourable mentions list?
I watched this film in 2014.
Okay.
I was recommended from my older sister. I sat down and watched this, and it reminds me of, you know, it's a very much a coming of age story, a story about identity, about personal struggle. It's basically The Silence of the Lambs. No, which was nearly an honourable mention.
Oh wow!
It was so close to making the list.
You just wanted me to rant on it more.
Dude, it hurt me to.
I know. I actually feel genuinely bad saying it, looking at your face, seeing this is the sadness in your eyes.
There was one that nearly made it. Can I say the film that nearly made it?
What nearly made it?
And it was in the It was in the 7 at one point. Was Forrest Gump?
Wow.
Yeah.
I can understand that.
Yeah. But we won't go into that because it's not.
It's on the list.
So Perks of Being a Wallflower. I watched this in 2014. It reminds me of like Catcher in the Rye, that kind of like, you know, boy becoming man, coming of age. But man, this film is quite dark in terms of its content, in terms of what the lead character is going through. And I remember sitting down and watching it, and it really kind of affected me, and I really related to that character, and kind of aspects of what he's going to. Like, obviously not. It's not like a 1-to-1. You know,
were you a wallflower, Brenton, back in the day? Sorry, were you a wallflower back in the day?
I was a wallflower. I was a flower growing out of a wall. Yeah,
you were. You know the expression, like, you know, to be a wallflower. Like,
I don't know.
I don't think you were.
No, I don't.
No, you
so.
weren't. Like, we grew up together. No, you were definitely not a wallflower back in the day.
No,
you were a wild, crazy garden. Like
yeah, no. But yeah, I think this film is very relatable to, you know, to anyone that, you know. I think anyone can find something in this that they relate to.
I've never actually seen it in its entirety. I've
really?
Seen I think I've seen half of it. I think I was at a friend's house and it was on, and we happened to be watching it but talking over it. So like, yeah.
There's a
scene where they like smoke a joint or something like that.
Yeah, he eats like a pot brownie. Like
I remember that part of it.
Yeah,
it's Ezra Miller, right?
Ezra Miller's the kind of side character. Yeah, Emma Watson and Logan Lerman's the main guy.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
really good actor as well.
He's he's underrated.
Underrated,
dude.
Yeah.
Definitely. I kind of wish his career had like taken off more and he got more. What did he do? He did this and then he did like Fury or something after this. Yeah. That tank film with Brad Pitt and Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah, he's quite talented.
Yeah, very talented. But yeah,
so that's why it affects you, because you just relate to it a lot.
I relate to it a lot. Yeah, and
So that's
it's an
honourable
emotional.
mention.
It's one of those films that's got a real strong emotional impact. There's a few scenes in particular I remember watching and just being like, oh man, like, oof, oof. So yeah, that's why it's in my honourable mentions.
Cool.
Yeah. My third and final honourable mention goes to The Sound of Music. Released in 1965.
Oh, that's a great one. Oh, I
Yeah.
should have put that on my list. That's a great one.
Yeah.
I love that.
I watched this film when I was under the age of 5. My older sister was fortunate enough to be cast as Gretel von Trapp in the Australian national tour of The Sound of Music live musical.
Oh, wow.
So I watched this film before I saw my sister on stage in the musical.
Oh,
and I
okay.
remember, like, this film is so good. It's,
yeah.
in my eyes, I think I can say this. I think it is the greatest musical film ever made.
Oh, I agree, 100%. Or, yeah, I'll give it
There
to
is
you.
there's some contention around
In my
that.
opinion, singing comes very close. Like in the
What,
rain.
sorry?
Singing in the rain comes close.
Oh, yeah, like that's up there too. But again, they're totally different.
True.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I'd probably choose.
Well,
Sound
Singing in the
Music
Rain's
over
like a satire. It's like...
Yeah, true.
So
Actually,
they're
as a
both-
genuine musical, I would give it to.
But as a movie musical, yeah.
Mm.
I think there's two different categories, I think. There's like adaptations of stage musicals as movies, and then there's movie musicals, which is like a musical that's been made for film and that is exclusively film. So like Singing in the Rain wasn't a musical before it was released as a film. Singing in the Rain could have been an honourable mention as well, but for my musical I went with Sound of Music because I remember watching this before I went and saw my older sister in the show. And it's just brilliant, this film, the way it's paced, the way it's done. So you, as a child, you're watching this and you meet Maria, this nun, and
How do you solve it?
How do you solve a problem like Maria? We don't know, but we will find out. You give her Captain Von Trapp. That's what you
Isn't
do.
it like unadjusted the highest grossing film or something like that? Like
Probably.
Yeah.
It's really interesting that
because it made a shit ton of money.
and
when
this
it first
film
came out.
won a lot of awards.
It was like
from memory.
1960 something when it first dropped.
It's interesting that as time has gone on, this is an aside, that as time has gone on with like award ceremonies and stuff, like it used to be that the films that won awards were also like the top grossing films.
Yeah, it's true. Like,
but nowadays
everyone
since-
went to see Ben-Hur.
Yeah, since probably the mid 2000s, it's like it's really changed.
Oh, I thought even before then, like Titanic was a big one. But if you look at before that, English Patient, no one saw.
True, but you got to remember, early 2000s, you had The Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, you had Gladiator, you had.
Yeah.
It was probably after those films that I think, because I think there's examples before, but there's during that period, you're right, there's a shift that happens, and so today, well, what one?
Hence why we now have the Oscar for most popular film,
which is just ridiculous.
It's so stupid.
Like, I thought it was ridiculous when they made it 10 films. It's like, mate, The Dark Knight should have been nominated.
It should have been.
And you do not fix that problem just by making it 10 films and then do
the
same
year
thing.
after.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous.
Also, it denigrates if a picture gets
That's right.
nominated for most popular film. Does that say it's not good enough to be a Best Picture nomination?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like,
well, it's basically just an excuse for, well, what's going to win that next year? What do you call it? Infinity War is going to win it.
No, Black Panther, surely. Black Panther is like way more. I think.
Well,
I enjoyed Infinity War more than Black Panther, but I think because of what Black Panther represents.
It'll win. Yeah,
it'll win.
For
But,
sure.
but see, I think
Should it
Black
win?
Panther should get a Best Picture nomination rather than just be a most popular film.
You think so? I haven't seen it yet. So
I also saw Mission Impossible Fallout recently, and that is remarkably excellent. Like surprisingly excellent, like high caliber filmmaking. Also beautifully shot. It's like the Skyfall of the Mission Impossible films.
Yeah,
like it's almost like they just got Roger Deakins on board. Like it is bafflingly good. And so I'm like, oh, that could easily win the most Best Picture for popular film.
We'll see. I mean, like, have you seen? God, we're talking about Oscars now.
That's okay. We'll get back to it.
What,
we have tangents.
Yeah. Well, is there any films that you generally think could be up for like Best Picture that?
So far this year?
Yeah, not that you would
It's
nominate.
not Oscar season yet. We haven't had any of those indies drop.
Have you seen Black Klansman yet?
No. That's getting a good buzz though.
Yep.
Well, remember, we've got The Irishman from Scorsese coming out.
True.
I'm keen for that.
I am keen for that also. There's a few I'm excited for this year.
Yeah, there's a couple great ones. We've got First Man, the new Damien Chazelle film.
Yeah, thank God he's getting away from... I tell you what's going to happen. He's going to land on the moon and then he's going to save jazz. And it's good.
Like it's Ryan Gosling.
And then you're going to be like,
just,
Damien Chazelle.
that's
yes,
one
yes.
small step for men,
Yeah.
but a giant leap from me. And it's like,
God.
and he just starts going into a full spin.
Here we go, guys. Here's some
Buzz Aldrin just like, he's like swinging about. He's like, what are you doing down there?
Here's some controversy. I love Whiplash, and I think Damien Chazelle is a talented director.
Mm.
I was bitterly disappointed with La La Land. Comparatively to...
Really?
Yeah. Whiplash is so much better than La La Land. As a film, like...
Yes.
I love... Hey,
Yeah.
I freaking love the last 10 minutes of La La Land. I think
Yeah.
it's incredible. But it could be a short film.
I think Whiplash is more innovative than La La Land. I'll give it that.
agreed. Yeah.
But I watched La La Land. I was deeply in love at that point. I had a girlfriend who, by the way, had the same name as the main girl. In
What's
La
her
La
name
Land.
in La La Land?
Mia.
That's right. Yeah.
And so I had a girlfriend who was also called Mia at that point. I was so smitten with my girlfriend at the time, and I remember watching that film at the cinema. And the film's just a celebration of these two, this young couple. And I'm like, oh God. And I called my girlfriend after. I'm like, isn't it just a great feeling? Love. Like, I was just so overwhelmed by it. Also, I love the jazz music in it. And
I do too.
Like the soundtrack's incredible. And
I think it's got a horrid opening number. Oh my God.
I love that. I love the dancing on the motorway.
Oh, it's awful.
It's great. And
dude, I nearly, my instinct was to walk out. Like, it was that bad.
Difference of opinion.
Oh my God. It's like, how can you watch Singing in the Rain and then watch that shit? Oh my God, it's so bad. Yeah,
but it's
last 10
nostalgic.
minutes redeem it.
Yeah.
And I think last 10 minutes are worth the price of admission. But yeah, overall, yeah.
If they had most popular film, they could have given it the best picture to Moonlight and then most popular film to La La Land and resolved that issue.
Perhaps.
Yeah,
But getting back to The Sound of Music.
Yes.
Speaking of musical films, yeah, we came back.
We brought
That
it
was
back.
pretty good.
We brought it back.
Sound of Music. I'm watching it as a young kid. You know, I want to be one of those Von Trapp kids
Yeah.
in Austria, and I want to be with Maria and growing up. And it's so brilliant. Just the outline of this plot and the way it unfolds, and you know, and then.
But it's a long film. It goes for like 4 hours. Like it's a very long movie.
It's a long,
but it doesn't
movie.
feel it at all.
No, and it covers a lot. So you have the characters in this film. The
You
way
got
they come
Nazis.
together.
You got
But
hiking.
that's the thing. Like, so there's a point. Like, it's, you know, there's this foreshadow of, you know,
By the way,
Nazi
spoiler
Germany.
alert for all the films we're about to be talking about today.
Oh yeah, sorry guys.
we probably should have
Spoiler
said
alert.
that.
Yes,
Like-
this is a full episode of just spoiler
Spoilers.
talks. Yeah. So yeah, Nazi Germany is kind of in the background of the first kind of half
Do
of this
people
film.
not know the synopsis of Sound of Music? Like,
I don't need to explain it. I'm not going to explain it
Yeah.
either. Go watch it because it's in Brenton's honourable mentions, please.
Yeah.
So we
is there a reason besides it's a great movie that it's in there? Is it just like
yeah, I'm getting
okay.
to that. So you watch you with Maria, you're getting this great character interaction, or Von Trapp, and then his kind of partner at that point, the Baroness, is, you know, oh, it's all this drama, it's like this love triangle, and then that kind of resolves.
Mm.
And then the Nazis invade while they're on their honeymoon, and they take over Austria. And I remember as a kid watching this, and like I had no knowledge of World War II, and it was a moment of just. It's true horror, and you don't really understand because it doesn't go into what they're actually doing. It's just that your country's been taken out from under your feet.
Yeah.
And there's the scene. It's my favorite scene in the film, and it's when they go to the concert and they're trying to escape, and they're trying to, you know, subtly escape, and then they're caught, and then, you know, they come up with the bullshit story of like, oh, we're just going to the concert to sing for the concert, and the car's broken down. Oh, well, we'll have one of our officers check the car. It's working. Oh, funny that. Oh, well, we'll escort you to the concert. Once you finish singing, you're coming to join the naval forces, Captain Von Trapp. And so they do the performance, and then Captain Von Trapp comes forward, which is a hell of a thing, God, and he says, you know, his last song he sings is Edelweiss to his fellow countrymen. Oh, and I feel like this is just where the film, like, it just...
Brenton, can you please stop orgasming in my house?
It comes like the whole build up of this family coming together, and he can't sing the song. He gets to the point in the chorus.
Is this when like 5-year-old Brenton started singing it?
Well, you feel like singing it, and then the family comes together and they join him and they help him finish, and the whole audience joins in as well, and it's a moment of like, fuck you, Nazi Germany. Like, you know, we're going to sing this song and for bless my homeland forever. And then they escape, and it's the end of the movie, and you're like, holy shit, this family just like climbed the Swiss Alps to escape. And as a kid, like, I don't understand the full context of that, obviously, that I do now of historically what's going on and like the significance of that. But the fact that that film had such an impact on like a child that was under the age of 5, that it could.
So this film's in your honourable mentions because it introduced you to the Nazi Party.
Yeah, and it introduced me to
you know, now that I mention it, I think
an extreme evil without subtly. It wasn't in your face. It wasn't. And Schindler's List is a great movie. I'm about to say it's not Schindler's List when it's showing you the depravity and the horrible.
No, but I must say, like under a G rating, I think this was my first experience with Nazism as well. I can't remember encountering the Nazis prior to Sound of Music.
There's a true human evil that's happening here, and I remember as a child watching this and to some level understanding what was going on, and it affected me greatly that this family could stand up at that time and do the right thing at whatever cost. And this where this film
it's not treating Nazis like the producers. Like.
No, no, I love the producers as a musical. Like it's fun, but
Maria starts going springtime for Hitler.
Well, that's kind of the opposite.
Exactly.
Going for the opposite execution. But
imagine that's a mashup.
Yes,
like
someone
they're climbing the mountains
that.
And like the Nazis are after them. They're going springtime for Hitler. It's like how do you solve it?
Heil myself.
They go climb every mountain and then like springtime.
But yeah, it's truly powerful, that film.
Yeah.
And it's truly special, and I think more people nowadays, more young people, need to see it and give it its credence.
Have I told you I've been to Salzburg in Austria? I've been to where they filmed it.
No, you haven't, but
yeah. In 2015, I was backpacking around Europe, and I stumbled into Salzburg. I wasn't even aware that was where The Sound of Music was filmed. I just walked up into town. I booked myself to a hostel, and I said, "What's there to do in Salzburg?" And they said, "Oh, The Sound of Music tour." I'm like, "Oh, is this where Sound of Music was filmed?" I'm like, yeah. I'm like, cool. So and by the way, The Sound of Music tour has not changed for like half a century. It's the same tour that existed the year after the movie filmed. So there's this guy who's like in a Lederhausen who just like who just is in this tour bus, and you all go on this like one tour bus, and he drives you around town, and he's like singing songs from the film in the bus.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and as he sings to you, like you see the house, like the Von Trapp house and all that kind of stuff, and you go to the gazebo.
Wow! Yeah.
And I've been in that gazebo, and it's amazing. Like
that is, I'm extremely jealous. That's incredible. I'd love to do that one day. Yeah.
And I remember I was with I bumped into some Aussie girls at the time at the hostel, and like we were all getting ourselves G'd up, and you know we got to the gazebo with like maybe 50 other tourists, and everyone just started singing. Like,
oh, wow.
I remember like I was with this one girl, I was like running around going, "You are 16, I am 17," and like we were running around it. But also then like this old couple, like we were going inside it, and like they were like singing to themselves like, "I'll take care of you," and I'm like, "Oh," and
that is incredible.
And we were running around the park, and we're going, "So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, say goodbye." Like everyone was just going through the hits. Like, and by the way, Sound of Music has a lot of hits, like a lot of iconic songs, and yeah. And and eventually we got back into town, and everyone was like hopping off the bus, and as you'd hop off the bus, you'd go, "Do a dear," and then you'd be like, "Ray," and as you go off the bus, you'd hit a new note, and finally got to us, and we'd be like, "Tea, a drink of jam and bread," and it was amazing.
Everything about that film, like the whole first hour of just character build up, like with Captain, I love Captain Von Trapp as a character too, like just that he's kind of dealing with that kind of like PTSD of the past war, as well as the fact that his wife has passed away, and he has 7 kids or whatever, and he runs them literally like a military ship. Like, oh man, like what a great idea! Like it's great storytelling. So Sound of Music, released in 1965, is another.
There's your honourable mentions.
Yeah, Brenton's top 7, alphabetical order. The Dark Knight, released in 2008. Christopher Nolan, great director. This is a great film. I remember going to see it 2008. I was in year 8 from memory.
Mm-hmm. No, you're in 7.
I was in 7, actually. Yeah, you're correct.
We were in year 7.
I was like, that's not right. I didn't graduate school in 2012. It was, I was in year 7. Oh my God, this movie, dude. I have to admit, I wasn't the biggest Batman fan beforehand.
No, same.
Yeah.
I did not see it in cinema because my mum...
You didn't see this in cinema?
No.
Oh my god!
I literally watched it by accident. I was at home because when it came out in cinemas, Mum came up to me. She said, "Nath, like this movie, The Dark Knight. It's a Batman film. It's getting a lot of good praise."
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to see Batman. And Mum's like, "Why?" She says, "Because I'm like, he has no superpowers. Why would I want to see Batman? He just punches dudes." And she's like, "Okay, fair enough." And then she went to see it by herself in the cinema, and she said, "This is worth watching." I'm like, "No, I'll just wait for it to come out on DVD," and it did. And then we just watched it on Foxtel one day, and that's when I first saw it.
This was the best film released that year. This was like, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, it's incredible. I remember the buzz coming around it because obviously Heath Ledger passed away during the editing of this film. And, you know, as Aussies, that was a big story, you know, and, you know.
I didn't know who he was, sadly.
Really? Oh, man. Knight's Tale, man. Like, one of my...
Haven't seen it.
As a kid. Oh, we got... When we get to that, we'll get to it. Yeah, but,
It's in Two Hands, I think, which I think is a film.
Two Hands, yeah. Aussie film, yeah. And I remember being like, oh, wow. And I always thought the Joker was like a stupid villain as a kid. Like, you just like, you kind of like...
My only experience with Batman prior to that movie was the animated series.
Yeah. With Mark Hamill as like, as the voice and Kevin Conroy as Batman.
Like, yeah, that kind of... Yeah.
I can't do the laugh.
I can't do it
He's so brilliant at it. But
he is remarkable, yeah. Also, because I hadn't seen Star Wars as a kid, I also had no idea who Mark Hamill was until...
Yeah, you're like, yeah. Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Who's that guy? Yeah.
This film... I remember going... Okay, so...
What's the experience? What's the experience?
That's what I'm about. My family booked... We all booked tickets to go see this. It was a Thursday night. And we were going in and I was really excited to see this film. And it's one of the only, like, few cases where something has lived up to expectations and also exceeded them. We sit down to watch this movie. I was sitting down with my sister on this side and my father on the other side. And we watched this movie. And it was just one of those special experiences where every beat of the film, every scene, like, you felt the reaction just hit everyone around you. This is before, like, you know, the Marvel Cinematic Universe and everyone stays for the after credit scene and go, oh my god, the ashes, and oh my god, this character's gone. Everyone, you know, there was no, like, formula to
apparently
this.
Spoiler alert for all movies.
Yeah. There's no formula to this. It's just... brilliant, and it's good drama. It's a good crime drama, and the superhero shit's kind of in the background.
Have you seen Heat, by the way?
Sorry,
have you seen Heat? The film Heat?
No.
Okay,
no.
This film is basically a remake of Heat.
Really?
Yeah, it's got Heat is a 1995 film with Robert De Niro and Al Pacino.
Yeah, I've seen one scene from it where they sit down in the diner. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. You got to watch the build up prior to that because it makes it more worthwhile.
Yeah, there's a lot of subtext I noticed in that scene.
Watch Heat and then watch The Dark Knight. Those films are like crazily similar.
Wow, yeah, I'll have to watch it.
And Christopher Nolan blatantly says, "I just wanted to remake Heat," like
with Batman and the Joker. I guess. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So that's, I guess, that scene is the
that's the interrogation with
the
Batman
interrogation
and Joker,
room scene,
which is an amazing scene.
Incredible acting.
You know what? With The Dark Knight, it's one of my favorite films of all time, if not the favorite film. It's not on my list though. It's not on my list.
Wow, I thought this would have been the one that we would have.
No,
had the same,
because the films that are on my list are just my top 7 like experiences of the movies.
Yeah,
you know, they're the things I've gone through with movies with. Dark Knight is the best film ever made, arguably in my opinion, up there with Inception as well, and Raging Bull. And I remember that scene where he interrogates Batman. I can now quote it. Like I think I've seen The Dark Knight. Genuinely, I think I've seen that film 20 times. Like over the decade since it's been out, and like, because I have it on iTunes. I loved it that much. I bought it on iTunes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Which was like, it was like $20 or whatever it was. And and just every line in that scene, God.
I remember like the aftermath of this film too. I don't think there's ever been a film that my family's gone to, you know, around that time that my family had gone to the cinema and we talked about this movie. And what I remember about this night is not only the incredible film we watched, that I would then watch.
Finally, my family stopped fighting. Like,
I wish, I wish I could like have that experience again of watching that film and that excitement and something that lived up to it and then exceeded it, and then getting to share that with my family and going home, and we spoke about it for like 4 hours, dude.
Wow.
Like, I vividly remember being like to my dad, and I was so excited that you can like hardly talk. And I was like talking about like what's next, like, you know, or like what, like, I mean, like, I love that bit. Like, yeah, it was like the first time I can really consciously being like, these were the themes of this film, and I liked how the character
critically saw a film.
Yeah, and that I was affected by it, and
If we don't die a hero, we become the villain.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It was like a synergy of like the criticism meeting like it affecting me personally, and then sharing that with the family, and then them sharing their experiences and what they got out of it, and then being like, oh, that was an exhausting conversation, but it was like one of the best, and it was exhilarating, and then going to bed and going to school the next day, and then sharing that with all my friends, and then them being like, what the fuck? We just want to play with Lego. And I'm like, okay.
I remember seeing you in school before The Dark Knight Rises came out, and I saw that movie before you.
Yeah.
This is one of my memories I remember most with you in high school. I remember because you hadn't seen it yet. You were very, very busy at the time, and I think you saw it like a week after it came out. But I saw it opening day.
Did. Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember you coming up to me, and you're like, Nath, how is it? And at the time, I told you that The Dark Knight Rises was better than The Dark Knight.
I remember you telling me that, yeah.
And I told you that because in the cinema when I watched it, because I'm a very dumb movie watcher, like I don't pick up twists early on, like I'm very naive. And when spoiler alert for Dark Knight Rises, when at the end it's revealed that Joseph Gordon-Levitt was Robin, I lost my shit. Like in the cinema, I was like, I talked about that more than anything else coming out of that movie, and then when I saw you, that's what I was running through my head, like, oh my god, Robin's in it.
I remember walking out of Dark Knight Rises and which was a funny experience all in itself.
You walked out of the movie.
I walked out and I remember thinking, like, part of me like wanted it to be better than The Dark Knight, and part of me was like, it was that thing of like you wished it was.
Yeah.
And I was wishing it was, and that's actually the thing that you were going through. But it deep in my soul, like when I got home, I just knew it wasn't. It wasn't as good as The Dark Knight,
it's not bad
which was
okay.
Yeah, it's still a very good film. It's the most superhero-y of all of that trilogy.
It really is, isn't it? Yeah.
Which is fine. Like, I can deal with it. I actually, I really like that movie. Don't get me wrong. A lot of people shit on that movie.
They really do.
And I think it's unfairly treated. That. Yeah,
yeah,
it doesn't deserve that. Like, it does, like, it's a good round out for a trilogy. It works extremely well, What's sad about it is that there's that kind of emptiness. There's that empty void you have of knowing that from such a performance of Heath Ledger as the Joker in The Dark Knight, and the fact that he doesn't continue in that world and he can't continue in that world.
And also, they never acknowledge him in The Dark Knight.
Exactly, out of respect for Heath, but at the same time, there is a void that's not filled there because of the effect that character has on the protagonist, And so there's, I don't know if that's it, but there's something lacking. Yeah. And part of me is always like, oh man, like I would have liked to have seen, if Heath was still with us, I would have liked to have seen...
he would have been in the sequel, without a doubt, if he was.
I would have liked to have seen that film, yeah. But we never will. And that's okay, because The Dark Knight, like you said, is one
makes it more legendary.
Or if not, your best film ever made. And it's one of my favorites from that, just that invigoration for cinema and for film and for loving it, yeah. Dark Knight, 2008. We're going to...
Number 6.
Good Will Hunting. Released in 1997. Mm-hmm. Man, this is such an inspiring film. I'll say that first of all, just from the story of Ben and Matt writing that screenplay and
young men as well.
Finding that much success, getting the cast they got. It's one of those cases where like this shouldn't have happened. This film shouldn't have happened.
No,
and it's so special. The reason it's on the list though is because this is my dad's favorite film of all time.
Oh, good choice.
Yeah,
Dad's got taste.
He's got great taste.
Shout out to Senior Brenton.
Yeah. Shout out to him. He's only said, I've never watched this with my dad.
No, and neither have I.
And what's the reason?
So what's the experience?
Yeah. So my dad told me that this was his favorite movie when I was about 10, I'd say. It was before I was a teenager, so let's say around 10. And we didn't have it like on DVD. We didn't have it or anything. But he said, that's my favorite movie of all time. And I was always wondering why. Like, because, YouTube's not around. You can't look it up. You can't, well, YouTube's around probably. But anyway, so I don't have access to watch this film. So I got it out from Blockbuster.
Yeah.
And I took it home. And I secretly watched this.
Ooh. No.
And the other thing was my oldest...
Of the secret films you watched without telling your parents, you chose Good Will Hunting, not pornography.
So I sat down and I watched Good Will Hunting. And I was gobsmacked. One, because it's a great film. Obviously, it's got great performances. Robin Williams, oh my God, what a genius. And Matt Damon. Matt Damon's performance in that is incredible. But...
Also Ethan Hawke.
Ethan Hawke?
Is not in Good Will Hunting. No. No, other one.
Ben Affleck?
No,
Matt Damon?
No, the one who did the Before trilogy. Is that Ethan Hawke?
Ethan Hawke, dude, I think you're thinking of
Dead... Where is it?
He's not in it.
I'm such an idiot. I'm so thinking of
You're
Dead Poets Society.
thinking of Dead Poets Society.
Why am I thinking of Dead
Good Will
Poets Society?
Hunting.
I know Good Will Hunting. Yes, I
yes.
know. Robin Williams is the sad man, and like,
He's
that
the
great scene
psych-
when Matt Damon confronts him because he's the therapist, and he's like, "No, man, like,
Yep.
fuck you."
Yeah. And then they have that great
wow,
park scene.
so banked on that.
Okay, so we're on the same page
We're back
now.
on the same page.
Okay, so I've taken it home. I'm putting it in the DVD and I'm watching it.
Mm-hmm.
And I finished it, and it was a phenomenal film. And some of my favorite scenes of all time are in that film.
Mm.
But
who's the girlfriend in that? It's is it Minnie Driver or something like
Minnie
that?
Driver. Yeah. Sorry,
she's great in it
yeah,
too. She's really cool in that movie.
She's so good in the movie, dude. Oh my god, that breakup scene!
Yeah.
Holy fucking shit! That's like one of the best breakup scenes ever.
Mm.
Oh, it's heartbreaking.
Also love that scene where the back of the construction site and he does that whole spiel about,
Dude,
you got to get out of the Boston. You just
Ben
gotta,
Affleck, one of Ben Affleck's best acting moments. Yeah. One of the few. So I finished the film, and I remember my sister saying this to me. She said, "Yeah, I watched that, and it made me understand Dad more."
Wow.
Yeah,
that's a very profound experience.
And I was like, "Whoa, okay." And I watched it, and it was true. It made me understand my dad more.
Wow. My
dad lost his dad when he was very, very young.
Oh, crikey.
Yeah, to a car accident.
Oh, dear.
And so he's a funny man, my dad, and I kind of and I've always heard that, like, you know, Dad had like a rough childhood because of that, and you know, those family dynamics that weren't there.
Oh, losing a parent as a child is horrendous.
Yeah,
absolutely horrendous. One of the worst things.
But it helped because I knew this was his favorite film. I'd love to watch this with him one day. I really want to watch this with him one day. But yeah,
what a good experience, man.
It made me understand him.
All my stories just like immediately shrivel in front of that story, like.
And kind of like, you know, the personal, you know, experiences and things Dad's overcome and whatnot. And I remember like watching it and finishing it, and the next day seeing my dad. And my dad's a bit of a larrikin, you know, like someone else I know. And so I remember like just like seeing him and like having a chat to him and whatnot. And I remember, like, it sounds corny, but I gave him a hug. Like, and every time I watch this movie, it reminds me of my dad. Yeah. And again, like, I don't even think that the experiences of the characters are the same as my dad, but because my dad's watched this and I know that it's his favorite and he's seen something in it that he relates to, I think I see the same thing in my dad and I relate to that. Yeah. So that's Good Will Hunting. Next film. Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. We spoke about this last week.
We did actually, yeah.
This was my first cinema going experience of midnight release. We go to the film. I'll surmise this quickly because I've already told it. I'm scared out of my mind by orcs, by goblins. It's horrifying, but at the center there's this fellowship. There's this family that is going through this horrific ordeal to destroy evil. Mm-hmm. And at the end, it all seems lost. But Sam, you know, jumps in the water. The last 10 minutes of that film are like so emotional, and the music from Howard Shore is fantastic. Ian McKellen, great performance. Everyone, great performance across the board. Film finishes, everyone stands up and claps. I cry at the end of that film, and I still cry at the end of that film every time when, Sam, I'm glad you're with me. And they walk off into May It Be, great song, into credits. Man, I don't even know how to describe how much that film inspired me, like, as a creative and whatnot, of like, that was the seed was planted, the love of film, like that's where it was, that's where it all began. So yeah, The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring.
Great choice.
Yeah. And I have to go with The Fellowship of the Ring because of that experience, because people say Return of the King's a better film. Probably is, but my favourite's Fellowship.
I have a similar story on my list. Ooh, what a tease.
Quick tease from Nathan.
Ooh.
So now we're reaching the halfway point of my list. And halfway is Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Released in 1975. Holy shit. So basically I'm in junior school. One of my mates, whose name is Lachlan, starts quoting this movie. This thing. He starts, you know, being this bridge keeper and being like, oh, and like saying all these quotes and things about rabbits.
I can see him doing
and
this,
things about French people, and I've got no clue what the hell he's talking about. And he's like, oh yeah, Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, and I'm like, what the hell are you talking about, Lachlan? He says, dude, you need to watch this. It's called Monty Python and the Holy Grail, and then you'll understand. And I was like, what an eccentric performance. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Say no more. So I go home and I watch this movie, and oh my God, this is the best, for me, this is the best comedy of all time. I love British humour. Before this, I loved Mr. Bean. I loved what Rowan Atkinson does. But oh my God, there's something special about this movie, dude. It just makes me happy. This movie just makes me happy, and at the same time, it makes me think a bit.
What have the Romans ever done for us?
I love Monty Python. I love John Cleese. Like these guys are real idols of mine when it comes to comedy, and and the fact that again, it's just a group of friends just getting up there and like doing some funny sketches that are linked together in this medieval setting. About this bullshit story about finding the Holy Grail that's never found, and then it ends with this documentary team like arresting them all, and it just cuts. Like it's just
so
brilliant.
incoherent.
It's so, and like the evil, the Black Knight.
Oh
like,
my God!
Oh my God!
They're just cutting off his limbs.
The reason this film's in the list as well, from a personal standpoint, is that I quoted this film for like 2 years of my life after I watched it, and I watched it all the time. My dad bought me. My dad was the best. He shipped me this doll, and it was a Black Knight plushie doll from Britain, and it's this officially licensed Monty Python product that I still have at home. I bought a second one when I was I found it in some fucking store in the United States, some vintage shop, and I bought it there as well. But it's this plushie, and you can rip the arms and the legs off it, and there's like blood streams come out of it. Oh. It's the best thing ever. It's so cool. I love this movie so much. It brings me so much joy. And it's just smart comedy. Well done, Monty Python. You went into film history when you made this, and you made a little boy very happy, and you made him laugh. Going on to the next film. Mm-hmm. Spider-Man. Out am I? Released in 2002.
Okay. Preface, Spider-Man 2 was very close to coming onto my list.
Wow,
like,
dude.
Very, very close.
Dude, it's a great movie. It's the best in that trilogy too. But
Spider-Man 1.
Spider-Man 1's my favorite experience. My dad took me to this movie in 2002 when it came out. He was Brenton, we're going to see Spider-Man. I was like, why? I was like, I wasn't really into superheroes. I like Thomas the Tank Engine. I like Lego, and I like Star Wars.
Yeah.
And so I went and saw Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
And I walked out, and I was pretending to be Spider-Man for the next 16 years of my life.
Oh, same. Same. Out of all the superheroes, I wanted to be Spidey the most when I was a kid.
Spidey's my favorite superhero.
Oh, same.
For sure. Yeah. God, this movie, dude, and this movie, every time I watch it, it awakens that child in me, that inner child. It makes me want to jump around the house. Okay.
I'm Spider-Man.
Do the thing. I'm doing it right now. I'm going, and you know what I'm doing with my hands as I'm doing it. Like, I'm pretending. I was crawling on the freaking tiles on the floor, and I was like pretending it was a wall, and I was climbing up it, and I was on my fingers and being a real, nerd. And
everyone's like, put it back in the cage. Like,
yeah. And anyway, that's not the reason this is on the list.
Okay.
Here's the story. We watched this film. My dad takes me to Toys R Us. RIP Toys R Us.
Yeah.
And he buys me all the action. He buys me this.
Buys me every action figure.
He buys me this action figure set that includes the Green Goblin on his glider, and plus Spider-Man, like broken Spider-Man at the end of the film, where Toby's mask is all ripped up. Which happens a lot in these films.
It really does.
In this first trilogy, man, just fucking get a better material.
But in the comics, he loses his mask quite a lot as well. Yeah.
True. Plus like a rubble set piece for them to fight on. And what was cool about the Green Goblin was that it was like a little pistol that the glider sat on top of your hand, and I remember these toys vividly.
Yeah.
And the Goblin goes on top, and they're great toys. Like, fuck, they don't make toys like this anymore. And it was like a pistol, and you like shot the pistol, and it shot its little green bombs out, and it was great fun. Pumpkin bombs out. And I went home, and I had these toys, and I was like on a Spider-Man high. I was like, yeah, I'm Spider-Man. And I ran into my nan and pop's room, who were living with us at the time, and I shot one of the bombs across the room, and I landed on the other side of my pop's bed, and it went behind there, and I lost it. I lost this piece of the toy.
Oh no.
And it broke my heart, and it was awful. My pop passed away soon after.
Oh no!
Yeah. From lung cancer.
Oh
yeah. Oh. Sorry, but I know.
That escalated quickly.
It's dark, but and it was very upsetting at the time. I spoke a little bit about this last week as well. And Spider-Man got me through that. Yeah.
Wow.
Spider-Man really got me through
Films
that.
do that. They're very good at that.
And it's so zany. It's so much fun. Aunt May's the best.
We've talked about Spider-Man like so much on this podcast.
Yeah, I know. It always comes up. But
and it is a great film.
I remember when he passed away and my nan, was obviously having to deal with that by herself and whatnot. And I was there a lot for my nan.
You're just standing there with a DVD. It's like...
no, I was there for a lot for my nan at the time. And I remember, there was one time, though, that I was left at home. And it really... when something really hits you? Everything hits you at once. And I'll never forget that. But I remember... it's so stupid, this memory. But I remember, one day... remembering, and just going to my pop's bedside and, looking around.
Yeah.
And I found that green bomb.
Oh,
yeah, and I found that piece of the toy. And what was funny about it was that I could never find it that day. And Pop was looking for it all day. I mean, he couldn't find it. He'd gone to the hospital because he was ill and whatnot. But the funny thing about the bomb is that he'd obviously found the bomb. And I'd been at school or something, and he'd remembered to put it, with, a Post-it note on it, in the bedside table to, give it to me. And I found it, yeah. That he'd had it there and he was gonna give it to me, but yeah.
Wow, dude, that's really touching.
Yeah. So I always think of my pop when I think of Spider-Man, and I think of how much joy that movie brought me in those times. Yeah. And Spider-Man is my hero. He's Peter Parker, man.
He's great.
He's the man. Which brings us to Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back, released in 1980. So even though Lord of the Rings was my first cinema going experience, this was the first film I watched at home. And it's funny because I snuck into my dad's room, my mum and dad's room one night when I was a toddler. And Dad had just bought the VCR collection of the original trilogy.
Wow.
And he was watching them that night, but it was late night.
Was this when George Lucas re-released them with special editions?
Probably. Okay. I think so, yeah.
So Cloud City looks a little bit too good for a 1980 film.
I think so, yeah. But it's VCR, so,
Yeah.
Dad had, it was one of those old, brick televisions too. It's, mounted on, a wall kind of in the corner.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Oh, yeah, boy. Anyway, so I sneak in. Everyone's asleep in the... We're in an apartment at this time. Because my family ran a building. But that's another story. But, yeah, so we're in an apartment at this time, and I've snuck out, and because I've heard this thing going on in the other room. And I walk in and I watch the second half of The Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, was this your first ever encounter with Star Wars?
Yes.
Whoa.
Everyone's asleep. My dad's snoring, kind of, and he's fallen asleep watching it. He's watched the first film before this. I haven't seen the first film. I haven't seen, the first half. I walk in and Luke's on Dagobah, training from Yoda.
Yeah.
And that whole cave scene happens. And I vividly remember watching this. And I was like, what the hell is this? What is this thing called a movie? What the hell? I'm watching this. I'm like, oh my God, it's his face in the mask. That guy's really scary. Film continues. The Cloud City fight happens between Luke and Vader. And I was like, oh my God, this is just awful. And I remember watching it, and it was the coolest thing I'd ever seen as well. Because, that shot of Luke going up the stairs, the lightsabers come out.
But you weren't a Jedi yet.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm like, holy shit. And I'm so on Luke's side. I'm watching this thing. And then obviously the Luke, I'm your father happens. And I was gobsmacked. I was like, oh my God, what is this?
Yeah.
What is this? The film ends. And I'm like, it ended? What the fuck happens next? Toddler Brenton figures out how to change VCRs. I spent an hour and a half pulling the Empire Strikes Back tape out of the machine and figuring that The Return of the Jedi was the next film, and I put it in to watch it. I was up to probably 3 or 4 in the morning.
Wow.
And I watched Return of the Jedi.
Wow.
Return of the Jedi nearly was the Star Wars film on this list, but I had to give it to Empire because it was the catalyst for this. Because Return of the Jedi...
Good of you getting the weaker of the 3 out of the way first.
Sorry?
Good of you for doing the weaker of the 3 out of the way first.
What, you think Empire's the weaker?
No. Return.
Yeah.
You watching the whole film.
Yeah. So that was the first one I watched the whole way through.
Yeah.
But Empire gets the nod.
Yeah.
Because it was the catalyst and that Dagobah scene. It's what the fuck is this?
Yeah. Remember, we talk about a film, not a trilogy. So
yeah, exactly.
Empire.
So yeah. I'll give it to Empire. But it's the continuation and the catalyst that it got me to watch Return of the Jedi. And Return of the Jedi, fair enough, it nearly was Return of the Jedi because Return of the Jedi has some of the best Vader-Luke scenes. Obviously, because it's established he's the father, and you're like, holy shit. And it's got that scene that you love, that I love as well, of like, I see you've constructed a new lightsaber. Oh, yeah. And like,
if Vader had eyebrows, he'd be waggling them.
I'm sorry, son, but I'm taking you to the Emperor. And it just blew my mind.
Toddler Brenton was just like, whoa, gosh.
My dad was asleep next to me. I was lying next to my dad, and this whole father.
And then he didn't wake up.
This whole father-son.
Just waiting for your story to get dark again.
Was it being explored? And I remember lying there with my dad, and it's funny because I think my dad my dad took me to see The Phantom Menace. He wanted to introduce me to Star Wars in his own way, but it's funny that he didn't get that. But still. That's one of my favorite memories of lying there next to my dad, who's like snoring, passed out. But he's
stories are so sweet,
and I've joined him to watch Star Wars. And so I like Star Wars is I just relate to my dad, and that he on his terms bought those movies to watch them, and I ended up falling in love with them as well on my terms, not because he forced me to watch them. Yeah, so that's Empire Strikes Back. Final film, is Titanic. Released in 1997. My heart will go on. Jack, my heart will go on. I picked Titanic not because of the bullshit love story in it or the fact that Leo could clearly get on the piece of wood and not fucking die.
I've never heard that before.
We all know that. But I picked this film because I watched this with my mum. And I was watching it at home. This film was on TV. It was on it's always on TV around Christmas time. Every year in Australia on Channel 9, I think it is. It's always playing. It goes for fucking 6 hours because it's a long film and there's that many ad breaks in it that you're up to 2 a.m. watching Titanic.
Wow.
But I did it. And I was like, I'm going to watch this film through.
And you did.
I find this film a very difficult film to watch because of the first experience I had. So this is a similar one to The Sound of Music.
Oh, I can see where the story's going.
I don't care about the love story of this film. It's sad and everything. And you're like, oh yeah, he died. And it's even more touching than she, because, she's about to commit suicide at the start. But he's the catalyst that makes her to live and whatnot. And it's sad that
you're really loving the word catalyst this episode.
Yeah, what the fuck? I haven't even said my catchphrase this episode. It's getting, what the hell's going on? But I'm going to keep it that way for now.
Yeah.
I have to have a real strong catalyst to make me say my catchphrase. So yeah, we get... But the end of Titanic and the whole kind of build-up is that there's this unsinkable ship eventually sinks. And it's horrifying, and it's a real tragedy that this was one of those... I think this is the only film on the thing. This is like a real event that happened. Not Rose and Jack, but the Titanic sunk. And it was one of those things of an unspeakable kind of evil that all of those people died for nothing. And... I was disgusted by it. I remember I was viscerally disgusted by that this had really happened and those people were freezing to death and screaming for their lives in that water. And mum and my sister are going, oh, this is so sad, Rose and Jack. And I was I was angry. I was so angry at the end of this film. And I think I've seen that film one other time.
Okay.
And I've never watched it all the way through again. I've seen it all the way through once, but I find it very difficult to watch for some reason. That it just...
You just get genuinely angry.
It makes me angry and it makes me upset.
They could have dodged the iceberg.
No, that there wasn't enough fucking lifeboats. One, that they didn't go back and save anyone. I was just holy... It's
that's what really shits you off.
Humanity failing at an epic proportion and horrible shit happening, and we're meant to just worry about Leo in that whole scenario. It's just it's a great film. I'll give it that. It's one of the great films. It's one of those epics, but it makes me angry, that film. And I remember having that. It's in the list because I remember having the discussion with my mum afterwards about humanity basically, and because she's the same. She's I can't watch it either because it makes me too upset that all those people died. And yeah, we just shared that moment. And that's why it's on the list.
There you go.
They're my 7 films.
Those are your top 7 movie...
Fave films.
Films. There you go. That's the most intense experiences you've had with film. That's... It's weird. It's weird that it ended. List. We haven't... I'll spoil it now. We haven't doubled up. So I've got a fresh list.
We nearly did, though, in some cases. We nearly had very similar, yeah.
Even then, it was Spider-Man 2, not Spider-Man 1. But yeah, so okay, here we go. So listeners,
Nathan's top.
So these are I've had same thing with Brenton. I have 3 honourable mentions for my movies, and but remember you only have to write down you don't have to write the top 7. You have to write the 3.
Yep, all good.
So number 3, so number 3 for my honourable mentions is Blues Brothers.
Oh yeah,
and this is on my list because this film, my experience watching it, I had some family friends that came around to our house called Bob and Sandra, and I must be something like 6 years old or something like that. And my parents growing up were ardently against me watching films that were higher than PG. Like I didn't watch my first M-rated film until I was maybe like 12, like genuinely. So yeah,
we're like at opposite ends of the spectrum.
I know. We are we got very sheltered, and my parents were very, very strict in that regard. So I remember we had these family friends come over one night, and they brought with them a DVD Blues Brothers. And I don't know how my parents lapsed in judgment because they've seen Blues Brothers before, but they're like, "Oh no, Nath can watch this movie with us," and they must have just forgotten how adult it was, And so we all sit down, and I think my sister was up in her bedroom or something like that. So it was just the 5 of us, and we put on the Blues Brothers. And the Blues Brothers is one of the best action movies of all time, and it's fantastic. And it's they're on a mission from God, and they're all going about. But the swearing in this movie, it's just every vulgar word you can imagine is in this film. And as the first like bomb is dropped, my parents kind of look over to me going, "Oh, what's this then?" And they kind of like brush off the first one, and then a second swear word is dropped, and they're like, "Oh gosh, what's all this?" And as they get more and more in, they kind of realize that the Band-Aid's already been started to rip off, so they just may as well keep on going. And I learned genuinely all my swear words from this film.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Every swear word I know from life has come from this movie. And the film finishes, and there's a pause. And we've seen Carrie Fisher with a gun. We've seen we've seen 20 police cars stop on top of each other.
Oh my god, yes.
And my parents turned around and they're like, "Nathan, you are not to repeat a single line from this film."
Yeah. It's like we've given you this. We've given you the right to watch it.
And by the way, this is
we
after
will
having
never speak
nothing.
of this again.
But it's true.
Yeah.
They gave me nothing. It's like they opened up the floodgates after nothing for years. And I'm like, holy shit. And I'm like, I have all these swear words. And then and my family friends, Bob and Sandra, they both look over to me and they give me this, and Bob gives me this cheeky little wink. And I'm like, ooh, and I know it was deliberate. I know this was their doing. And ever since then, I've been in their debt because I know how to swear because of this film. So that's why I'm Blues Brothers. Honourable mention number 2.
Dude, yeah. Can I just say...
Oh, yeah, sorry.
One thing about Blues Brothers is, I must admit, I've never seen that film. I've seen every scene in that film. I've never seen it in its entirety. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, you should. It's a good film.
Yeah, no, and I wanted just so I get, I've got the experience of having watched it all the way through.
A film review for. Maybe we should...
We probably should. Yeah, because I've seen every, I've seen the first half at one point. I've seen the last 2/3 at one point. You know what I mean? I've got crossovers. I've seen it, but I've never sat down and watched it, beginning, middle, and end. It
is genuinely. I don't think but actually, in truth, I've not seen the whole thing since then. So it's been,
you're kidding. So you've seen
it's probably been 15 years or so since I've seen the film.
Dude, that's special. It's in your honourable mentions.
There you go. Maybe we should return to it just for that reason.
Yeah, dude. Awesome.
That's an honourable mention because it introduced me to swearing. Honourable mention number 2 is Pacific Rim.
Wow.
Dude. And the reason this is in my top 7, favorite movie experiences is because I saw this movie for free at the cinema.
Did you sneak in, Nathan?
I didn't sneak in. I've actually never snuck into a movie before, except for one time I went to see Thor: The Dark World by myself at the cinemas. It was right after graduation in high school. And I accidentally walked into the wrong cinema.
What did you see?
It was some old film with Judi Dench and because I remember sitting down, the trailers were playing, but it was trailers for old, it was all the trailers for silent dramas and that
so it was
kind of
an
stuff.
anniversary screening of something or whatever,
I don't know. I don't even know. I genuinely don't know what the movie was. It was but all the trailers for that movie, the Judi Dench movie, was for films about old people, overcoming sickness and that kind of stuff. This is weird. This is weird to be playing these trailers before Thor. And then the movie started and the credits said Judi Dench, and I'm like, Judi Dench's in the Thor film? I don't remember that in the
Chris
marketing.
Hemsworth's been recast. What's going on?
Oh, I would watch that movie in a heartbeat.
Oh my god, Judi Dench as Thor, and then like Helen Mirren as Loki.
Yes.
Yes, please.
Make it happen, Kevin Feige.
Kevin, come on, Kevin.
Come
Let
on,
it happen.
Kevin. We need to talk about something, Kevin.
Reboot. Let's go.
And then I remember like the credits. I'm like, oh no, and it dawned on me. I'm like, oh no, and I sprinted. And also, I have this weird thing. Whenever I'm in the cinema, I need to take off my shoes. That's like a weird tradition. I've always
I
had.
know. I've sat with you in a cinema, and you're like, right, it's starting, and you just slip them off.
I take off my shoes. It's just something I do. And yeah. By the way, this is the first time you've ever acknowledged that. But moving on, and then I ran into the other cinema, and I finally made it in time before, and the movie was just starting. Like
Dude,
the Marvel
awesome.
credits came open. Anyway, so Pacific Rim. The reason it's on my film list is as number 2 honorable mention is because at the time, this was year 11 or 12 or something like that, I was working in radio.
Yeah.
I was working as a radio announcer on a radio station on the Gold Coast, which is a story in itself, but I'll get into that another day. And part of me having this job is that we got to go to preview screenings before movies came out, and we got to just because we were part of the staff.
Yeah.
So we got all these free tickets. And so I invite one of my mates over. I give him one of my other tickets to my mate Lucas at the time. And we go to Packfair Cinemas. And we're very excited because we've never seen a movie in the cinema for free. So we're like, yeah, Pacific Rim. And like we weren't that keen for the movie. We thought it was probably going to be shit. And so we walk on in and we sit down. And the cinema's packed with all these winners of who've won like the sweepstakes for our radio show.
Yeah.
So you got a whole host of crowd. And anyway, so this guy stands at the front of the cinema right before the movie starts. He says, "Welcome to the Radio Metro's preview screening." And he's like, "Congratulations, you're about to watch Pacific Rim." And he's like, "Are you all excited for Pacific Rim?" Not a sound. The cinema was silent. And it was a long, awkward pause. And he's like, "Okay, let's start the movie." And the movie comes on and is the most like baffingly stupid films I've ever seen in my life. Like it's genuinely just bad. The piece, have you seen this before?
Pacific Rim.
Yeah. And I remember, and the best part about it was the Australian accent in that film.
Yep.
The most butchered Australian accent I think I've ever seen in cinema.
Yep.
And it's funny because the room was full of Australians as we were in the Gold Coast. So like every time that character came onto screen and said something, I've never heard an audience laugh as much as I have like watching that movie. And I've never had an audience so united in their loathing for one character. I thought this is how Star Wars fans were laughing at Jar Jar back in the day. And like the movie finished and we all walk out and Lucas just turns to me and he's like, "Well, at least we didn't spend any money." And I'm like,
I can just envision that now, like knowing Lucas and you obviously that's so funny, dude. Yeah, that's awesome.
And like we came out of the movie like at 11 p.m. at night and it was like the car park was empty by that point. And we went home and we never spoke of it again.
Have you ever seen it again?
No.
Dude, it's such a guilty pleasure, that film.
Really?
Yeah, man.
Really?
It's so fucking trash that it's like, it's just a good time. It's just, it's great.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why it's number 2. It's number 2 because I'm honorable mentions because it's my very first Fury movie.
So what's the better film, Pacific Rim or Shape of Water?
Oh, don't do this to me, Brenton. I dislike them both for different reasons. And you know this because we saw Shape of Water together in the cinema. Brenton and I have this thing where we like to talk about the Oscars each year and we have recommendations as to who's going to win. And maybe we might do that on the podcast.
Yeah, I reckon
that's
a good seasonal episode.
Yeah. But that would actually be
a good one.
Yeah,
dude.
But where was I going with this? But yeah, I remember like you and I we saw most of the Oscar films independently, but we went to see Lady Bird together and Shape of Water together. And oh no, we didn't. No, I saw Lady Bird for free.
No, I saw it with you.
Did you?
You invited me to that.
Oh, that's right. So I think of 3
Yeah.
Billboards. Yes, that's right. Yeah, we did see that Lady Bird together, and you and I walked out of that film just like emotionally, just shattered by that
From
film.
memory, that was my film of the year last year.
It was,
Lady Bird,
yeah.
which is surprising because I wasn't expecting it to be.
No,
Yeah.
God, it's such a fucking good film.
So great.
And then we saw Shape of Water afterwards, and we're like, ugh. I'd still say Shape of Water, only just because.
Dude, Pacific Rim's a guilty pleasure, man.
Yeah, but anyway, so
Get
Pacific
amongst
Rim, that's my number 2. My number 1, or the one that almost made the top 7 in my honorable mentions is Twilight.
Wow.
And Twilight is on this list because...
Dude, that's very apt that I was saying sparkling in the sun at the beginning of this episode.
My ears pricked, Brenton. And
more like your vampirical senses.
Ooh. Like me. But yeah, so Twilight is on this list, not because of me watching the movie itself, but because of what this film did to my private life. So, Brenton, in 2009, when you and I were in year 8, I had a year 8 girlfriend.
Yes.
So, by the name of Jo. And her and we started dating, and I had a big crush on her for a very long time. And, you know, when I say dating in the terms of, like, when you're 13 years old dating. So, like, we just have lunch together, essentially. that was our relationship. But we were very, very smitten with each other. And then one day she comes to school, and she's like, Nathan, I've got a gift for you. Like, Joe, you've got a gift for me. It's not an anniversary. It's not anything special. What's this gift? And she just come to my school bag. So we walk on over, and she's got like a stack of piece of paper in her bag. And I'm like, what's this? And she's like, I've written you something. And I'm like, you've written me something, Joe. How very sweet. And I'm generally humbled by this. And she's like, yes. And she's like, don't read it till you get home. I'm like, okay, I promise. So the whole day I'm just wondering what the hell she's written for me. I'm imagining it's a love letter of some sorts. I get home,
which is cute. It's like, you know, you're like, oh yeah.
So you're probably thinking at home, how does this all link to Twilight? So I took the pieces of paper home, and without even saying hello to my parents, I run up to my bedroom and I put them on the bed and I start reading. And what 13-year-old Jo has done is that she has written Twilight fan fiction. But she has replaced Edward and Bella with her and I. and with the prose of a 13-year-old girl, she has written this 4-page scene where her and I are in class, and she details how I bite her, and I kiss her, and then I bite her, and I turn her into a vampire. And it's very, very graphic, and it's very, very confronting. And I had seen the Twilight film by this point, and I was very confused as to what the intention of this letter was.
Oh my god!
And I go back to school, and I say hello, Joe. It is the start of the day, and I'm like, I read your story. Thank you. What inspired this? And she said, I love Twilight. I've seen it 30 times.
And she said like that too, like, I love Twilight. I've seen it 30 times. We should watch it 30 more together.
and I'm like, okay. And I'm like, because I was not a fan of the movie Twilight or the book or anything along those lines. And I'm like, and she's like, and I'm like, well, why did you write it? And she's like, I want you to be my Edward. And I'm like, and she hugs me, and because I'm a year 8 boy, the hug just like disarms me, because I'm like, yeah, this hot girl's hugging me, like. And she's like, I'll see you in class. I'm like, okay. And then over the next like fortnight, she just keeps on mentioning like vampiric things. Like read it again. like just like, you're so pale today, Nathan. I'm like, and I start telling this to my friends. And when you were 13, you don't know how to handle these things appropriately. So I tell a lot of people about this, and universally, everyone's like, no. Everyone's like, don't do this.
No, this is not happening to us in our relationships.
No, they're not that. They're just like it's not worth it, Nate. And so the relationship ends, and ever since then, I have been unable to watch Twilight because not because the films are bad, even though they are. It's because it gives me flashbacks to when this girl wanted me to be her vampire.
Nathan, so you know what we're going to be doing once this episode concludes?
What?
I'm sitting you down and we're going to watch Twilight.
No. So those are my honourable mentions.
Lovely.
So my top 7 are not listed alphabetically. They're actually ranked. I actually managed to rank them. So
dude, good on you. Like, it's tough deal. Yeah, so nice work.
It was very tough. So I've ranked it from my number 1 favourite experience with a movie that I've ever had all the way down to my number 7.
I'm so excited, dude. Get cracking.
So,
I want to hear
and by the way,
it.
those are the honourable mentions. So now to go to the actual list.
Yeah. Of films you've actually seen, too.
Yes, yes. Okay, so number 7 is Eurotrip. And Eurotrip is on my list because... so in college, I had a thing with a girl, and we were in my bed one night and we saw the film Eurotrip. This was like when I was 18, and we watched it together, and it was like, it's so fun. Have you seen this film?
I've never seen it, dude.
Oh, dude, it's like, it's about these 4 Americans like in the early 20s. They're off to uni, and this guy has this like pen pal in Germany, this chick. Oh no, he thinks it's a guy that he's been writing to, but it's actually a girl that he's been writing to. And it turns out this girl really, really likes him. So she says, hey, I want to marry you. I want to like be with you, all that kind of stuff. He's like, ew, this guy's written this to me. And this guy called Scotty. And he's like, oh, ew, this guy wants to fall in love with me. Screw that. And then he ends up looking her up on the internet, and there's this like hot German girl. And he's like, oh no. But she's already left her German home, and she's now traveling around Europe. So he grabs his friends. He's like, okay, we got to go to Europe and find this girl so I can propose to her. And like, okay. And they go on this wacky adventure all throughout Europe. So
cool. Yeah. So it's like buddy travel trip. Like,
it's great. It's really, it's so funny. It's one of my favorite comedies, if not my favorite comedy of all time.
Wow. I gotta watch it. Yeah.
It's by the way, it's not a good film. Let me just preface that by starters. It's not a good film at all.
But
I love it to death. I love it to death so much because it's so funny. But also, going back to that story, so I watched this with this girl at the time, and ever since then, I have had a tradition that every girl I have dated, I have made her sit down and watch Eurotrip with me.
May I ask why?
Because if they do not laugh at this movie, then they're not worth dating. And this may sound like a really dick thing to say.
This is like the test. It's like...
It is.
It's Nathan's test.
You know, like some couples, like they go to a restaurant, and if like the other person doesn't like this type of food, is a deal breaker. I don't know. Like, people have their deal breakers. This is my deal breaker. Like, I love Eurotrip that much. It's so fun. It's so funny. It's so quotable. Like, there's a million great quotes from this film. It was made in 2005, so sadly we can't do it for classic movie Banter. But
until 2025.
Until 2025. But it's just, for those who have seen it, the scene where they go through the train in the tunnel and there's that guy going "Miss Scusi" is one of my favorite scenes ever. When they end up in Eastern Europe, and I'm going to spoil this film for you, Bren.
So
they end up in Eastern Europe and they only have like 3 cents left, and they're like, what can this buy us in Eastern Europe? And it cuts hard to a scene of them in like a palace. And they bought all these extensive staff and lobsters. Like, wow, 3 cents gets you a lot in Eastern Europe. There's a scene where they go to the Vatican, and one of the guys accidentally convinces the state media that the Pope has died and he's the new Pope. Like, it's so stupid, but it's such a good film.
Sounds like fun. Yeah.
It's MA. There's a lot of nudity. There's a lot of swearing.
Oh, wow. So okay, cool.
It's fucking incredible. I love this film so much, and it is my girlfriend odometer.
Nice to know. Well, you've let everyone know too, so it's...
I know. If anyone wants to date me in the future,
secrets out.
make sure you love Eurotrip.
Yeah, practice that fake laugh of like. No, I'm like, I really want to watch it now, dude.
It's so fucking funny. I love this film to death. Number 6, Gravity.
Gravity. Wow.
Gravity is my number 6 film, and this is the story behind this film. I think I've actually told you this story. Is that I went to see it in the cinemas with my parents when it came out in 2013, and we went to the movies. We sat down, we watched it in 3D glasses, and it was remarkable. We were gobsmacked at how high quality the 3D was. I'd never been sold on 3D at that point until that film, and it was my first true like, holy shit, cinema has evolved kind of moment. Because Avatar was very impressive at the time, but like, especially it's 3D, but like, I remember not being overwhelmed with Avatar.
Yeah. I mean, we've had this discussion before, and I'm literally the opposite of you. Avatar blew my mind with its use of 3D technology, whereas Gravity I was very underwhelmed by.
Yeah. But I remember loving that film to death, and you know, Sandra Bullock spinning about, and
George Clooney having chats.
He's just having chats. I don't know. I just love it. I was just really, really I was holding my breath the whole film. It's on this film because it's a wow film, but also our mutual friend Lachlan was on a date at that same time with his girlfriend at the time, Annabelle, and we And we only realized we were both in the cinema after the movie finished, and the credits start rolling, and I stand up and I'm gobsmacked, and I turn around, and then Lachlan and I, our eyes meet. We both realize we've both been in the same experience, and he has the exact same expression on his face as I do, and he's completely ignoring his girlfriend, and he just looks at me and he gives me this nod, and I nod at him back. And we don't exchange words, and we just walk out of the cinema in silence.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes there are no words. Yeah.
No, so that it's on the list because it was just a wow film. Number 5. Number 5 is The Emperor's New Groove.
Oh yes.
It is, and the reason this film is on my list is it is it's one of the best films Disney's ever made.
Yes.
But it is on this list because it is the first movie I ever saw at a cinema.
Wow. And it's a good one to see too. Yeah. I remember seeing this in cinema as well.
I must have been 4 or 5 years old. I genuinely had never been to a cinema prior to that. And my grandfather, of all people, took me to the cinema for the first time. He had no idea what the film was, nor had I. I think he just saw Disney and he's like, oh, that'll be appropriate for a kid. And so we went to the cinemas and we sat down. I just remember, and that's when I fell in love with cinema. It was in that moment, and I just remember seeing. Like, it's a beautiful film. It's colorful. The music is fantastic. The characters, it is a perfect first experience for cinema. And I remember just thinking, if this is what movies are like, and here I am now, a movie talker on podcasting.
Dude, that's awesome. I love that this was your inspiration.
It was magical, and it is a remarkable film.
I love it, dude. It's one of my it's one of my favorite animations.
I quote it more than any other film.
Kronk is the best. Pacha, oh my god, I love him. The characters, dude.
Every time I'm cooking something burns, I always go, my spinach puffs.
Yes.
Every time I grab a door handle, I'm like, pull the lever, Kronk. Yeah.
Oh, it's awesome, dude.
Or if I'm holding up a vial, I'll be like, llama. He's supposed to be dead.
Yeah. Oh my god!
Every time I stand against the wall, I'm like, like Kronk.
And the guy just walks past them, and they kind of look at each other like, "What the fuck?" And then they just.
It's so funny.
It's so good.
The scene where they're running about and they and there's like the dots on the map, and then they end up there's like the dots. Yeah,
and they look at each other, and there's like the shrug, and then they just keep going. Oh, it's so good, that movie, dude. It
gets better and better the more you watch it.
Yeah, that's one of those movies. You're right. It's like it gets better every time, and it's never not a good time to watch that movie.
No, it's like any occasion is the perfect time to watch The Emperor's New Groove. And
wasn't it a box office bomb or something? Like
it was. I don't understand it.
What the hell? Like I don't understand it. I remember the marketing material for that film. I remember watching trailers and stuff for it and being like, oh, this is hilarious. Like this is gonna be a good time. Like, and I just don't understand how it didn't take off. Yeah.
No.
Oh. Great choice, man.
Remarkable film.
Great choice.
Probably the best Disney film ever made, in my opinion.
Wow, yeah. Okay.
Biasly, I may add.
Yeah, of course, but yeah, not a bad choice at all.
Number 4 is Shrek.
Hey.
It has to be Shrek. Shrek is on this list because of an experience in primary school. So Shrek was the film that would play on the school bus when we would go to school camps. And so whenever you were on like a school bus and it had that one tiny little square TV at the very front of a bus that would house like 50 kids, this is the film that would play. And it played a lot on a lot of our school trips. And you must remember this, Brenton, because we did a lot of the same trips together.
Dude, yeah. Shrek was always on.
It was always on the bus. And I remember loving that film to death as a child. I saw that film in the cinemas as well, and I fell in love with it. And because it played so much on the school bus, everyone would like do the film as the film was playing.
Yeah.
So like I remember like literally just sitting next to like a random person in grade 3, and the scene would come on where Donkey and Shrek meet for the first time, and everyone would be quoting that scene line for line, and the whole film's quotable.
Yeah.
And then back when I was a child, I had horrendous motion sickness, like terrible motion sickness.
Dude,
do you remember this?
Dude, I can recount a story of my mum picking us up from school and driving us somewhere to rehearse our drama things that we've discussed in previous episodes at my house, and you had awful motion sickness, and you warned us about it like before you got in the car. You're like, oh, just so you know, like I have motion sickness. And I was like, oh, of course, if we need to pull over, like all good.
But
Dude, yeah.
it like I downplayed it. Like your mum was very patient with me. Like, I remember it being like the biggest drama queen when it happened. Like, but there was one school trip where I think we came back from like year 3 camp or something like that.
I remember this. Yeah. Yeah.
And we were all and Shrek was playing, and then
It was. Oh my god. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
yeah, and I was sitting at the back of the bus like an idiot, like literally center back row, and I just got bad motion sickness, and I had no shame. I literally at the top of my lungs screamed, "Stop the bus!" Like high pitched.
Yep.
And then one of the year 3 teachers came to the back of the bus and like, "Nathan, are you okay?" And I'm like, I can't do this. And people around me were snickering like, "Dude,
Yeah.
calm the fuck down." They're like, I'm like, "Nah." I was just like acting like I was about to give birth. I'm like, "No." And she's like, "Okay, we'll come to the front of the bus." And I'm like, "Are we going to pull over?" And she's like, "No." I'm like, but miss, I'm dying. And she's like, it was like a half an hour drive back to the school. It was nothing. And she's like, come. And so I sat at the front of the bus and like, she's like, "Just breathe." And I was breathing and it didn't work. And I was just freaking out. I'm like, and I said to her, "I'm freaking out, man." And by the way, I was 8 when this happened.
Yeah.
So, and everyone's just laughing at me, and rightly so. I was acting like an idiot, but I was embarrassed, of course, as you are as an 8-year-old child.
Of course, yeah.
And what got me through that was genuinely just looking up directly above me and just focusing on Shrek.
Yeah. It's a great film, dude.
It's a great film.
And just to offer my perspective during that moment, because I remember that moment too.
Yeah.
I remember coming back, because it was after that day that my mum had picked us up and we'd gone back to my place, and you know, you'd had your bout of motion sickness come over you that day. So I knew that you got it quite bad.
Yeah.
And like the extent of how bad it was.
And by the way, I'm fine now.
Yeah, no, of course.
Yeah.
No, that's good for it, so everyone knows. Yeah.
Last week, man, I had a bad case again.
But I remember being on that bus and everyone was snickering and some people were laughing and some people were angry and like,
just shut up, Nathan.
like,
We're trying to watch Shrek.
Exactly, we're trying to watch Shrek. And it made me angry. Because I knew that, like, the horror of what you were going through, and I was like, he's just got motion sickness. Like, it just happened. Like, just leave him alone. Like, and I was like, it made me quite angry. Like,
oh, thanks.
Yeah,
buddy.
I remember I was like beetroot red. I was like, everyone just shut up. And, like, because it's not helping. It's like, he just needs to, like, calm down. And it's like, yeah, I remember feeling, like, angry at that point. Being like, oh, yeah. But I'll never forget that either. Yeah.
No, me neither.
Yeah. And Shrek was playing.
Shrek
Lord
was
Farquaad
playing.
was on the screen.
Oh.
Do you
think he's
know
contemplating
the
for
Muffin
something?
Man? The Muffin Man? Yes, the Muffin Man.
The man from Drury Lane.
Well, she's married to the Muffin Man. The Muffin Man? Oh, the Muffin Man!
Oh, that film.
Shrek.
Number 3. Which, funnily enough, is a threequel as my number 3. And my number 3 is High School Musical 3.
Oh, Nathan, what is going on
What
with
is this list? I'm surprising you, Brenton.
Oh, dude, you really are, but go for it, dude.
I'm nothing but surprises. This is number 3 on my movie experiences because because of something that happened in New Zealand. So, and it involves a natural disaster.
Oh my god. Proceed. Go.
If that gets your curiosity. So we were on a holiday. We were on a holiday in Wanaka, which is this tiny little town in New Zealand outside Queenstown, about an hour's drive south, or north, one of the two. And we were coming back from the snow one day, and we'd been skiing all that day. And my sister and I, we were very eager to get home because on the Disney Channel they were airing High School Musical 3. And my sister and I were ardently in love with 1 and 2 as children, because, you know, children enjoy eating bullshit for some reason. And so we lapped those movies up and we loved them. You know, we love the first one where he's, you know, basketballing and singing about...
Where he checks his watch and he doesn't have a watch on.
Yeah.
Dude, it's great.
I love the second one where there's a random Miley Cyrus cameo.
Yeah. Oh my god, yeah.
But the third one, so we were very hyped for the third one. And as we're driving back, we pull up outside our front house and we start walking in, and then an earthquake strikes Wanaka. A classic New Zealand earthquake, because New Zealand has heaps of them. And the house shook. And my sister and I were like, oh no. And my parents were like, quick, stand between the doors, because that's what we do between an earthquake. So we stood between the doors, and, you know, the house was shaking for a while, and my sister and I could see the clock both from where we were standing, and we're like, Mum and Dad, the movie's starting, and the house was still shaking. and my parents like, you can't, no, like this is, like, we're in the middle of an earthquake, like you have to stay where you are. And my sister and I got really angry. We're like, we want to see High School Musical 3. And we kept on standing there, and you know, the earthquake passes, and then we sprint towards the television, and we can't turn it on. Because of the earthquake, and it was shaking. So we're like, Dad, can you check the power? And it's like, oh, fine. It's like, whatever. So he turns things on and off. And this is like just a guest house, by the way.
Yeah.
And he finally gets it working, and we tune in, and we've missed like the first 5 minutes. And as a child, you're just so cut from that. And the rest of the movie, we're trying to piece it together, and we finally work out what's going on. And we make it through the film, and because we attempted to like not continue watching it and just like wait for it to come on again and watch it from the start. But I remember turning to my sister and I saying, "No, Jess, we must watch this film," because we survived a natural disaster to watch High School Musical 3 senior year.
Oh my God.
That is why.
That's a great story.
The things we had to go through to watch this film.
And
we enjoyed it, and we had fun.
I'm glad it was worth it. Yeah.
But I remember just like standing in that earthquake thinking, I'm missing the movie just because of this fucking earthquake.
What is your favorite of those 3 films?
First one.
Yeah.
For sure. It's one I've seen the most. It's the one people talk about the most.
Yep.
It's got the most quotable songs.
What's the worst one?
2.
I think for me it's 3.
I remember there's a scene in 3 where they're on the rooftop and they're singing like randomly on the rooftop about senior year.
Yeah.
I'm surprised for our drive-in movie thing we didn't put on senior year for High School Musical 3. Like, I thought that would have been a hit.
I feel like no one voted for it. I think the final 2 films that were for our drive-in movie night were Step Brothers, which won, and Up.
Oh, yeah.
And I wanted to watch Up.
Up would have been too sad. Like,
screw it, man.
Yeah,
just
screw it.
Man up.
Yeah,
let's
man
watch Up.
Yeah, so High School Musical 3. So
yeah, great. So what's number 2?
Number 2, for my top favorite movie experiences, is Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire.
Wow, okay, cool. That one.
Goblet of Fire. I love the Harry Potter series. I love the Harry Potter movies. They're my favorite films of all time. I'm sure
they're your favorite films of all time.
Or they're my favorite movie series of all time.
Yeah, right. Okay, cool.
You know, as any millennial probably has the same reasons as they do. It's fantastic. And I grew up in that Harry Potter, saga, like, the same ages as Daniel and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, so the reason Goblet of Fire is on here as opposed to all the other movies is because it was when Goblet of Fire came out that my family and I started going to the opening day first screenings.
Right, yeah.
For Harry Potter. And we did that all throughout, up to the 8th film. But for the first 3, I just saw on DVD because I was just catching up. So this is the first one I also saw at cinemas, by the way. And I was very excited because I'd seen the first 3 films I must have seen like at least 30 times each. Like genuinely, we owned them on DVDs. We didn't have that many DVDs as a kid.
Yeah.
So I think we had like maybe like 10 DVDs. And 3 of them were Harry Potter films. So my sister and I, like every Saturday morning, would just watch those 3 films in a row. Like every weekend. Like, religiously. And so by the time the 4th one got announced, I was very excited. I remember when the trailer got announced for Goblet of Fire, I remember going to the iTunes movie trailer website and like waiting for that thing to buffer because it took forever to buffer because it ran on QuickTime. And I just watched that trailer like at least 500 times.
That's so cool.
So I was very hyped for this movie. I remember pausing the trailer as a 10-year-old, watching frame by frame, trying to work out what they were doing for the movie. And then it finally came out. So we went opening day in the morning, 10 a.m. And we were standing at the rooftop of Packfair Cinemas, and it was a car park. And we were waiting for the doors to open. At 10 o'clock came, the doors didn't open. Oh. And everyone's like, and by the way, there was like a crowd of maybe 200 people standing outside the front doors of the cinema, all to see Harry Potter. And people start like banging on the doors because they're like, what the fuck? Like, we got to see a Harry Potter film. Like, we're here to see this. A car alarm starts going off, and people are like, oi, turn that bogan's car off. They're all starting to shout at each other, and the car alarm doesn't stop.
Yeah,
the crowd of Harry Potter fans turns into a riot, a genuine riot where people there's now like tens of people slamming on the doors, saying, "Open up the doors!" People cheering, like chanting, like Harry, seriously, I'm not making any of this up.
Was this at Pacific Fair?
This was on the rooftop of Pacific Cinemas.
Fair?
You know exactly where this would have been.
I know
You can
exactly
see
where it was.
Yeah.
Holy moly. Yeah.
And
what happened? What?
Eventually, this. So you know in The Simpsons, there's the teenager with the high voice, like.
Yes.
So imagine the real life version of that. He comes to the front. Hey
guys, come on, just form an orderly line.
So imagine a riot of Harry Potter fans, and this kid comes to the front doors and he unlocks them. And before we can say anything or give an excuse, everyone just floods in. And in the madness of it all, we never knew why it was delayed.
Really, yeah.
So in the madness of it all, you're probably wondering, did I fire 6 shots or 7? And you'll never find out. But we finally got in, and it was before assigned seating.
Yeah.
So we had to go to the box office, grab our tickets, and then
rush to the cinema.
Everyone ran to the cinema, and we had to grab the best seats. And I've never seen so I did it. So it was my mother, my sister, and I, because Dad wasn't that interested in Harry Potter. And I remember I've never seen such a violent crowd before. Like everyone was like shoving people out of the way to get into the cinema. Like people. I was a child, and people pushed me down. Like it was like people just had were not holding back. And because there's 3 of us, to find 3 seats in a row, we just couldn't do, and we couldn't. And then eventually, Mum played like the I have kids card, and we eventually found some 3 seats. And then we all sat down, and then people started shouting, "Play the movie!"
Oh,
yeah. And then finally, like the Warner Brothers logo starts coming out of the cloud. Everyone's like, "Shh!" And then everyone starts cheering, going like, "Whoa!" And then the movie starts.
Yeah.
And that experience, I've never had.
Nothing like it, dude.
No, it was my first time ever going to an opening day. And that's why it's my number 2 movie experience.
Dude, yeah. Mine, yeah. Like I've said before, but like mine was Fellowship, and it was that same thing of like, it was a bit more organized. So it was like that midnight screening.
Nice.
And so all the cinemas are playing the same film, and you go in and everyone's just like wants the best seats, because it was at Pac Fair as well. And then just when it starts and everyone just. I have to say just quickly that there was a Harry Potter film that nearly made it to my honourable mentions.
Ooh.
Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets.
Ah,
yeah, my favourite of the films. Yeah,
nice. Yeah,
I love that film.
It's a great film.
Yeah,
they're all great.
Yeah,
yeah.
But Chamber of Secrets holds a special place in my heart. Yeah,
oh, nice.
So what's number 1?
Number 1. So my top movie experience I've ever had is The Hunger Games. The Hunger Games.
Okay.
And the reason... There's actually 2 reasons why Hunger Games is my number 1 movie experience of all time. First, there's 2 stories behind this. First has to do with a book competition. The second has to do with our headmaster. So...
Wow. Okay, cool. Yeah. Explain. Yeah.
I can see genuine curiosity in your face.
Wow, yeah.
Tell me more, sir.
Tell me more, Harry. Why are you the chosen one?
So, I am the chosen one. So, in year 9... there was a competition where you could do like trivia or something like that, and it was like book club trivia. So you were given a book to read, and you could do this, and you form a team, and you have to answer questions about this book in your team. I remember we did this in the lecture theatre, and Mrs. Curran held the competition at the time, and so I formed a team with a couple of mates in year 9. We read this one book. It was like, I can't remember what the book was. It was a random book, and we rocked up and we answered the trivia questions, and we won. We won the thing.
I remember this, but I'm trying to remember what the book was. Because I think I remember what the book was, but I can't. Oh, it was something... Ooh, was it part of a series?
I can't remember.
Was it the first in the series?
Remember.
Yeah. But I remember you guys winning, too.
We won. And it was like year 7, 8, 9 kids, and even teachers as well.
Yep.
That we versed. It was a big deal at the time. And we won. And we got a trophy for it. And we got some praise for it. And people were like, well done, Nath. But most importantly is that we got 5 free books as a deal for winning this. And also, we got to represent the school in a inter-school book competition.
That's right,
where we got to read these 5 books that we had won and then do trivia them versus other schools. So, and one of these books was The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. And this is in 2010. So this is before the movie... I think it was before the movie was even announced. Or maybe it had just been announced, but like...
No, I don't think I think it's before it's been announced.
Yeah.
If I remember.
Because the first one came out 2012. And so we read the books, and no one had ever heard of The Hunger Games before. And it was this book that I won. So it was this book I had for free. And there's also a sticker inside the book saying, "Congratulations, Nathan, you've won this book on behalf of your school." So I'm like, awesome. So I read the book and we do the trivia. And we come close. We come really close to winning, but we didn't end up winning the inter-school trivia. But I remember reading the Hunger Games and loving it. And then I found out there's some sequels, so I read the sequels and that kind of stuff. And I was in love with this book because I got it for free, and I had earned this book. I didn't just buy it, I earned this series. So I had this real attachment to the Hunger Games. And then when I found the movie was coming out, I'm like, fantastic. I've come full circle. I'm one of the OG fans that found out about it before it went big. I'm in it. So it meant a lot to me. The second reason this is my number one movie experience is because I was in a class in year 10 called English Extinction.
Yep.
So I was quite in love with English as a child. And it was a class that our headmaster at the school taught. And it was very much like Dead Poet Society, where like Robin Williams, this kind of figure, just came into the classroom to just spiel on how great language is and inspired you. And that's what our headmaster did. Very lovely man. And part of that semester of me doing that class is that he promised to take us to the movies. And I said, if you guys all finish the class and you all do well, I will take you all to the movies for free. I will buy you all tickets to do it. I'm like, great. That sounds awesome. Thank you so much. And then
wait, what's his criteria for everyone doing well?
I can't remember.
Was it just I'm gonna say that, but I'll just take you all to the
movies? It was more just like you just be good kids and then I'll take you to them. And cool. And he done it for every previous class. For years prior to it, he'd always taken a group of kids to the movie. So it was like a given thing. Anyway, so we finished, and this is the second half of year 10. So we finished the class, and we're all having a pizza party, and we're all getting excited, and we've done that Cole's Hands thing, which is a story I'll tell for another day. But so we get to the end of the semester, and I'm like, oh, Mr. Wallace, can we go? Are you gonna take us to the movies? And he's like, sure thing, kids. And then never happens. He never organizes it. He's a very busy man. He's the headmaster, so he just never gets around to organizing it. And everyone's like, well, we've had one of the best semesters of our lives. Let's not push it. We've had our fun. Year 11 starts, so this is months later.
Yep.
And I have a friendship with the headmaster. We were close at the time. And I remember deliberately booking an appointment with the headmaster. I went up to his receptionist and I asked for an appointment. She said, what would you want to see the headmaster for? And I said, just for chats. And she's like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever. So she books me and I rock up to his office. And he's like, Nathan, what can I help you with? And I said, can you live up to your word? And he's like, I beg your pardon? And he said, you promised I was 16, by the way, when I did this. I was a little prick. And
it's awesome.
I was a big prick when I was 16. And I said, you promised us a movie? And he's like, yes, but and he grumbled and all that. I'm like, you promised us a movie. And he's like, oh, very well. And he's like, well, I have to organize the tickets.
Very well.
Yeah, and he's and he says, well, Nathan, have to organize the tickets. And I'm like, good, let's do it now. And he's like, now? And I'm like, yeah, come on. I was very inappropriate. I stepped out of line. And he's like, and he had his computer open. I'm like, cool, let's look it up. And so he opens up Event Cinemas and he's like, what should we see? And I'm like, what's movies on there, Mr. Wallace? And he starts, I'm like a mobster boss that's just walked into the room. I'm like looking at that's a nice vase you got there. Shame if something were to happen to it.
Smashes one object. Oh, whoops.
What a pity.
Goes over to the candlestick.
Where was this from?
Better book those tickets, eh?
Literally, that's what I did to the headmaster of our school. And he started saying, well, there's a movie called The Hunger Games out. And I'm like, great, let's do The Hunger Games. And he's like, cool. So I got to see this movie for free, Brenton, because I bullied the headmaster into buying our English class tickets. So he writes this letter, prints it off, sends it to the students who are in that class. And the theme of it is that you got to come dressed like the movie.
You got to dress up.
You got to dress up.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. Yeah.
We got to all dress up. So you have to dress like in the theme of the Hunger Games. And so we all eventually rock up to the cinemas. And I rock up as Caesar Flickerman.
Yep.
So I rocked the blue hair. I had blue paint just sprayed onto my hair. Yep. And I come in a suit. And everyone else comes in weird quarter quell outfits and that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And our headmaster rocks up in this bright green suit with an orange shirt, lime green suit. And with this orange shirt and a red tie, and we're all so confused, and we're like, "How is this related to the Hunger Games?" And he says to us, "I'm here as a fruit salad." And because he had no idea what the Hunger Games was about, he just thought it was just about food. And so we all sit down, and because he books the tickets,
yeah,
being,
oh my god. I see what you're about to say. Yeah.
Because he booked the tickets, he booked for some reason. He meant to book the back of the cinema.
Oh my god!
But he booked the very front row by
yeah.
complete accident. And if anyone's seen The Hunger Games in cinema, you will know that the biggest main criticism for that first film is its shaky cam. There's a lot of very unfocused shaky cam in that movie, and we're all sitting in the front row of a VMAX cinema. May I point this out?
We
literally the entire film was a blur.
Wow.
And I remember, and I sat next to him, and I remember halfway through the film, he leans into me. And I'll never forget this. The headmaster leans into me and he's like, "Nathan, I think I made a mistake with the booking."
That's so funny.
and that is my top movie experience.
Oh, the fruit salad leaned over. Oh, that's incredible.
Those are my top 7 stories with movies.
Love it, dude. Great list.
Thank you.
Great list. So all that's left to do is to recap, I guess. And
so I'll go first. I'll choose one for you, and then you can go one
for
me. Okay, so Brenton. Okay, so your top 7 had The Dark Knight, Good Will Hunting, The First Lord of the Rings, The Holy Grail, First Spider-Man, Empire Strikes Back, and Titanic.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them blockbusters, except for 2. All excellent films. What else is in common? They're all part of franchises except for Titanic and Good Will Hunting. It says something about you, Brenton.
What's it say, Nathan?
Okay, so if I'm presuming if no one, out of all these films of what I would recommend someone to watch out of all these, but this is an excellent list. If you want an experience with a movie akin to what you and I had with our lists, I'd probably say. I'd say the first Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I'd say the first Spider-Man.
I
don't think it's the best film but this today's episode has not been about the best film made. These are not our top 7
these are our
best films ever made.
Our personal favorite experiences with films that inspired us, that have maybe not inspired us, that have inspired something in us to put it in the list, I guess. Yeah. Spider-Man, dude, great choice.
I think if you haven't seen the first Spider-Man, or even if you haven't seen it for a while, out of all these, this is the one you'll have the most fun with. This is the one where you'll have a story you will talk about it the most afterwards.
Norman,
that's my 2 cents.
Norman, you ain't out. You're in.
you're in, buddy.
In am I?
All right, Brenton.
Nathan's top 7. In at number 7, we have Eurotrip, which I haven't seen.
Mm-hmm.
Number 6 was Gravity. Number 5, The Emperor's New Groove. Number 4, Shrek. Number 3, High School Musical 3, Senior Year.
Yeah.
Number 2, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Dun, 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 dun. And number 1, The Hunger Games.
I must say, looking at our 2 that's juxtaposed, we have very different lists.
Yeah.
And I think mine is probably more random than yours.
I don't know. You're covering a lot in this list. It's interesting. I mean, there's 2 animations in there, which I think is
there are 2 animations
interesting. There's 4. I'll say this as well. There's 4. 5. Yeah. Well, let's call 5. Let's say 4 children's films, 1 teen film. I don't know. The Hunger Games.
None of these are real serious adult films, are they? That's interesting.
Gravity's probably the closest.
Yeah. Isn't that saying something?
And actually, Goblet of Fire is pretty adult as well. I'd say that ending. Oh my god! It is pretty.
Yeah. Interesting mix of sequels as well.
Yeah. My pick is quite easy for this. That I would recommend to people to have an experience with, especially if you haven't seen this film. Get a group together, sit down, and enjoy The Emperor's New Groove.
Oh, good choice,
dude! Hey, it inspired you. It was your first experience, and
my very first movie. Yeah,
and it's a good one. It's a great one to start with. I do love that movie. It's so good. Great characters, great time, great experience. Guys, that's our top 7. That's our top 7s.
That's the first of the 7 seasons.
In terms of tweeting and contacting us, I'd really love to know other people's top 7s experience.
Please send them in.
Please.
I don't know if Twitter will give you enough space to write a story, but we have an email as well.
That's right. Yeah.
If you want it, it's all in the description wherever you're watching this.
Post a response on YouTube. I don't know. Like, there's lots of options.
Let us. I would love to know other people's top 7. Like, if you've got a story with a movie, like if you've got a favorite movie, that's great too. But like your experience with a film. That's what today's about.
Well, what are the films that, like, you know, represent you, or like you represent your experiences, like that.
It's weird you and I writing this down because it really does reveal a lot of character.
It does,
about both of us.
And like just the way you surmise, like say my list and how I was talking about yours, and it's interesting, isn't it? Yeah. And so and no one's list.
And I wouldn't have picked those films to you, and I don't think you would have picked these, vice versa. Like I think we're both surprised by each other's.
I was
lists.
very surprised by yours. Yeah. And I was very happy I was surprised to a certain extent. There was a couple on there that I knew there was going to be a Haspod on there. I just knew.
Yeah, you knew.
Yeah.
And I knew Lord of the Rings was going to be there after that story.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
But I was also surprised for the reasons.
Yeah.
Especially. That was probably the most surprising part. I think your stories are a lot more grim than mine and probably a lot more meaningful. But, and my stories are very random as well.
But they mean something to you.
They do mean something.
Yeah. What a great episode! I've really enjoyed it.
Same.
It's been a privilege.
Hope you guys have loved listening. Thanks for sticking with us for 15 eps. I think what we'll do is that we'll do this every time there's a new season.
We'll do something like this.
We'll come back to the 7. We'll come back to the 7 seasons. And we'll do another top 7 list.
Yeah, I can't wait for the next one.
And if you have any suggestions for the next top 7 list you want us to do when it's December and a new season starts, then let us know.
Excuse me, I just want to be let into my room. Can you just please give me the key and put me in?
Sir,
it's classic movie banter.
That's not a real name, sir.
Classic movie banter.